What's up, everybody? It's That Anime Show. I am your host, or one of your hosts, Terri Doty
with herpes. No, George. Oh, this is on. Shit, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to out you in front of everybody. J. Michael Tatum, rather. Now known as...
To clarify, I do not.
No, she does not have herpes. That I know of. That I know of. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kidding.
And with us today...
I'm talking about my new nickname is herpes, apparently. We'll just say that. Can we go with that?
Yeah.
There, now we're both fucked.
Shut up, herpes. And with us today... herpes-free, Ian Sinclair.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Awesome way to start the show. Herpes-centric. Awesome.
I'm still feeling the energy from last week's show where we got pretty foul and dirty, and it was awesome.
God,
So
like,
that was,
I got to see it.
yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
People were leaving, and then, later Steven and I were mixing the show, and I say Steven and I was sitting there while Steven was doing stuff, and I went, am I really that foul-mouthed? And he's like,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, like Dexter, you're like Dexter's sister. I'm like, fuck.
You kind of are. You kind of remind me of Deborah.
Okay, cool. But
yes, Ian was in the audience for much of that.
It's a great show.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
We'd only done one. We've only done one live before, and
that was at Overload.
That was at Overload.
Overload wasn't
Austin.
bad. It's just it was a little limiting because we had gone there thinking that we were going to be, very unrated and very live.
Yeah, and it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. But it was nice. We had a more kind of a private area to do it in, so we could shut the door, so we could do the aging up thing, so we could be foul mouthed. And of course, Greg Ayers was our first guest, so that was awesome, you know. And then Chris Ayers after him was awesome. They're two of my
Chris,
favorite people.
one of my favorite little things is when you and Chris are it's Frieza and Aru, and then he transforms, and then you just go, son of a bitch.
It was really funny. I love that man. I love
He's
the brothers
adorable.
Ayers. I do. I always have, but it's just like getting to finally sit and do the interview with them. And I don't want to say, I want to give a shout out to everybody who showed up.
Yes, the crowd, the audience was amazing.
The crowd was really awesome. The energy was perfect. Everyone was great. We had some really good questions come up to the mic.
We had some really good questions and some pretty
what? And but yeah, it was great, and hopefully we'll get to, because I know Chris and Greg very well. We didn't even scratch the surface of what we could have talked about, so we have to get them here in close quarters again, and we could talk, because I know there's a lot of we didn't talk much about Greg's DJing, which I know is a huge passion of his.
Man,
we didn't get a chance, which he is amazing, as Ian and all of us got to see at YuleCon last weekend when he spun for the dance, but we didn't really even get to talk about Chris's horror movie collection, which he has momentous.
Chris and I bonded over horror, and then you and him have got Shakespeare stuff.
We got the Shakespeare,
and then me and Greg, I think, just get very catty when we're together. It's just girl, and I know we still did that, I'd fuck the shit out of that. All that stuff, but yeah, it was fun, and I'm glad Ian was able to join us.
That was fun having you there.
Oh, it was great. It was great. It was a great show to watch. I get to hear you guys talk about this kind of stuff around the office all the time, and getting to see you all, with a mic, it just took it to the next level.
There really isn't a difference if you know us. If you know us, it's really
that was Monday.
Yeah.
This is pretty much how we always
I think we even mentioned that. It's people at work, have you heard the show? They're like, I don't need to.
I listen to you bastards all the time.
All the time.
But it's always entertaining and wonderful.
There were some awesome panels, and then just some awesome cosplay. I saw some great Black Butler cosplay, some Italian cosplay.
The best cosplay. And Hetalia as well. My goodness.
Yeah.
There was the Airship Isabella guys, the steampunk cosplayers.
They have amazing stuff.
They're really, really good.
Yeah.
And I've seen them at a handful of cons now, and every time, oh my god!
See the picture they drew? Chris?
Yes. They drew a picture.
Awesome.
It's on his Facebook page.
Now,
It's really awesome. And they did it 20 minutes or something. It was just something they just did in like on the spur of the moment for him.
Yeah,
and
Tia
then
was gonna leave, and she's like, I have to get my picture drawn before
you weren't there. Now, for those of you listening that have never had the pleasure of meeting Chris Ayres, he has a very distinctive look. He's a rather diminutive fellow. He's not half as tall as his voice, and he will be the first to tell you this. And he's a relatively short man, very dignified. He's very he's got his little beard, and he always wears, almost always, every con I've seen him. Well, hell, every time I see him in any setting, he is always wearing a Hawaiian shirt of some kind. And his black sort of leather jacket, or it's not like a biker jacket. It's just like your average leather jacket. And he has his giant cup, what he calls the sippy cup of doom, where he keeps he drinks soda out of it constantly, just to keep himself and to keep his his energy going. and this cup is the size of his torso. It's gigantic, and it's like a small trash can sized. And it was really funny. He never
works on arms, just switching.
Yeah, he just and that's his thing. He calls it the sippy cup of doom, and that's his trademark. He always wears the Hawaiian shirt, the jacket, and the cup. And the cup is very unique looking. It's got like this weird pattern on it,
It's been faded throughout the years.
Yeah, it's been
used
faded
to be a bright red color. Now it's
kind of this pale sort of popsicle orange.
Yeah, like only a cup you could get like at a 7-Eleven in Texas.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. With almost like this, what do they call it?
Can you believe this is 102 ounces? Yes!
Well, the Airship Isabella guys, who are very good friends with Chris and who know him because they've done a lot of conventions together and they've grown very close over the years. At closing ceremonies on Sunday,
why it was taking so long.
They came down, all of them. I think there's about 6 or 7 of them in total. They all came dressed as Chris Ayres. They all had the shirts, and they all had giant sippy cups of doom, and it was hilarious.
Like Ozarka jugs.
Because they had to make it proportional to themselves, so they were like taking,
Gatorade,
gigantic, it was really
so interesting hearing you talk about this because the only other person that kind of thing brings to mind is Nabashin for me. I mean, it's a guy who wears the big old afro and he's got the red shirt. Everybody knows Nabashin. And Chris has a very similar thing. He's got his uniform, and it's really interesting. When we were doing SegoyCon, Nabashin said, "You are the American Nabashin" to Chris, and his face, his eyes just got huge. But even more so now if you add that in. Yeah.
Oh, you lucky bastard! Fun. You got to do a panel with Nabashin.
I did a panel with Nabashin.
I love that story. I love the story.
Chris told us about like any final thoughts at the end of that panel.
We were doing this, and I've directed 3-4 shows by now, and it was me, Chris Ayres, and Nabashin. Watanabe Nabashin. And it was Nabashin right there, and he's answering these deep questions about, what is anime to you and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, what do I have to say next to these two guys? And they said at the end, Chris just looks at me and goes, all right, everybody have their final thoughts. And Nabashin gave this big speech about how, this is a beautiful bridge between Japan and America. Chris gave this wonderful speech about how if you don't like something about an anime, it's the director's fault. Not the actor's fault, so come to the directors with your issues. And then they look at me, and I'm just like, I did a panel with Nabashin! It's total dork the entire weekend. I had no composure whatsoever.
Why stop now?
Oh, I know, right?
You're a big dork.
I accept that about myself, and the more I do this job, the more I embrace it, really.
Hey,
I thought you were a big dork the second I met you.
I will tell you. Hey, look, it's no secret I'm a big dork. I'm a huge dork. That's why I love doing conventions, because it's I have free reign as a dork. I belong. Yeah, it's right. Like conventions. That's where we nerds and we dorks and we weird obsessed people can go and feel at home. I love conventions for that reason.
Like I felt like was a little because like cons. That's where we all kind of go to just. Not feel like we have to kind of censor what we like and stuff. We can be big nerds. Yeah, but at the same time, there were nuns and monks and
oh my god, yeah, that was awesome.
That was really
the best cosplay
Tatum's
ever.
all like, God damn it!
I did, at least on several occasions, I took the Lord's name in vain or said, Jesus Christ, or God damn it, or something with a nun. A real nun, not a cosplayer, but a real nun or a monk nearby because I would just forget that, there's like this Catholic
they're probably
leadership
not-
seminar going on in the same center on kind of near where the green room was. It was really
well, there was
funny.
like a point where like Steven and Carly, who are like brother and sister that were separated at birth. Seriously, they're days apart, and they have all this weird stuff in common. They're like, you can't get a word in. When it's Carly and Steven, I'm like, Steven's talking. What's happening?
I know, it's such a strange thing.
Apparently they were walking, and it was almost like the equivalent of someone going like when they walked by like a bunch of women that were looking at books. Like they walked by and they were just and Steve's just like, you! Carly's like, calm down. It's not worth it. He's like, calm down. Let's go.
It's really funny. I've done some joint conventions before. OhioCon usually it's such a big space. There's usually always a regional cheerleading convention going on and a tax assessors convention going on in the same space. Now there's enough room in this gigantic convention center in Columbus, Ohio, where we can be separate, but there are some corridors that are mutual, and everyone has to go down them to get to some section where they belong. And it's always funny to like the tax assessors, all in their suits, all with their carry-on luggage. You know, they're not sleeping here tonight. You know, they're just passing through for this thing. There's maybe 20 or 30 of them, and if they're passing by, they're going to the cafeteria or like little cafes or something. They'll just kind of keep their heads down, and look around them like, boy, this looks expensive. Like everything, they see price tags everywhere, you know. And the cheerleaders, and there's a lot more of them typically, because I've been to OhioCon now 2 years in a row, and
the fans like those joint cons a little better.
There's always groups of cheerleaders terrified, huddled together, navigating this sea of cosplayers, and there's always
because if you're not familiar with
and they have just dinner plate eyes, just looking, oh my god, what is going on? I don't understand this, which is really funny because they're in costume, they just don't look at it as being a costume, but like you're dressed as a cheerleader, so you're cosplaying, you just don't realize you're cosplaying. So sad for you, but there's always at least one little girl among the cheerleaders who's looking around, and you can see this look on her face, like this is cool, and the others are trying to like reel her back in and be like, no, don't go over to the dark side. It's really funny to see that happen.
One of my favorite Chris Ayres stories that I've ever heard is there I forget what con he was at, but there was like a wedding going on at the same time, and these bridesmaids were sitting out in the courtyard or whatever, laughing and making fun of all these cosplayers, and Chris just finally had enough. And he went over and he's like, I'm going to go out for a smoke. And before he left, he went in front of them, pointed at them, and screamed, your cosplay sucks!
Awesome.
And then just kept walking, and everyone starts laughing at them until they got up and left. And I'm like, oh my god, that's like the end of like an 80s movie. And then they got like pushed into the cake or something. But
Chris Ayres is my fucking hero. I love that man.
Oh, man.
That is the sort of thing he would do.
I think it
he
was
and
Josh.
Greg both would do stuff. Because Greg, I love Greg. I mean, because Greg talked about this a little bit with us. I mean, he loves going to conventions because he loves hanging out with what he calls, he says he doesn't like to call them fans. He's like, they're fellow fans, because he's a fan. And he loves to go to conventions and take part in some of them. And it's really awesome. Yeah. And so it's fun. So I'll go to just about any convention that my schedule allows me to, if I know the two of them are going to be there, because they make it so much fun for me. And they're like, there's some people, I've been to enough conventions now that there are some people who get it, the guests who get it, and you're like, oh, this is fun. I love this. They're being with them. Like we get to hang out with the fans. And, if I want to stop for a second, if we're en route to somewhere and there's a group of us and maybe a fan wants to stop and get a picture or talk to me, I'm not going to get looks from everybody I'm with. They're like, come on, Michael, like if I'm with the Ayres brothers, they'll stop in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because, some people are like, come on, but it's fun to be with, people that get it, because there are some people, every now and again you'll go to a con with someone who's like, oh, you don't really seem like you want to be here. You should just stay home.
I just want to go get some Skyline chili.
Yeah.
I get it. Oh, God. Josh Greeley and I ate way too much Skyline chili when we were in Ohio. Yeah, I know. I went to these as a kid. I had comic book conventions, sci-fi conventions, anime, and so
Really?
now...
The kid wearing the Spider-Man shirt?
The kid wearing the Spider-Man shirt, too, is that anime show. I think I've worn a Spider-Man shirt to most of my public appearances. I'm just realizing
maybe
that now.
that'll turn into your uniform.
It could.
You've got your Pearl Snap.
Pearl Snap and a Spidey
plaid.
shirt.
Cosplay as
And,
Ian Sinclair right now.
Do it. It's a black
I'll
Spidey shirt.
Pearl Snap
I'll
shirt.
give myself. I won't shave for a couple of days, and I'll have to get a wig.
Oh, yeah. Well, my hair's just going crazy right now. See, that's the beauty of directing. I'm in a room nobody can see me.
Yeah.
So,
It is really hard not to get really lazy after like a first contract or something where you're just like,
yeah, because
it's
all
awesome.
day
There's
long, all
there's
you're doing is
dress code.
obsessing at night. There's no dress code. I got and when I started directing, I went to my first con or something just to go as a guest around town, and I stocked up on video game shirts. I was like, I'll take the Zelda, I'll take the Captain America, I'm going to take the that one's Atari, give me that. And so I just you come in, and it's the one place you can work, and yeah, you wear your Triforce shirt, and you get nice from your boss, you know?
What's funny is when we go to cons, one of my favorite things about cons is, if there's a really nice dealer's room, because I will spend some money in a dealer's room. I will totally go and get stuff. And it's funny because if Josh was with me, which he almost always is, we'll find stuff and be like, oh my God, I really want that, but that's way too expensive. And we'll wait till one of us is busy, like he'll be off doing something, or I'll be a panel, and we'll each go down and buy something for the other and like leave it in our room and not know that that's what we did. So we've bought in secret. We've bought each other gifts at like 4 different cons from dealers' rooms, and so like half the stuff that I have on display is stuff that we have gotten each other because it's really funny. And sometimes we'll buy each other the same thing because we didn't know the other was going to do it. We're like, oh shit, we have 2 of them now. The coolest thing. Okay, I just thought of this. This was last week because when we got home after the convention, I tried to do a load of laundry and my washing machine exploded, and so we had to replace it this week. Obviously, it didn't explode; it just stopped working and it started burning.
Exploding.
But we fixed it. I mean, it didn't burn the house down. We just figured, okay, well, we caught it in time. It just started really stinking, and we're like, oh, that's burning. Oh, that's bad. Well, it's an old washer. It came with the house, so it's probably about time for it to go anyway. So we went to the store and we got ourselves a new one. And when they delivered it a couple days later, it's this nice, beautiful front loading. It's more economical. It saves water. It's eco-friendly, and it looks cool. It's a neat design, right? Well, the guys that brought it were really cool. They looked at all of our anime stuff that we have everywhere. Like, he's got, I've got the Aquarion stuff. I've got Black Butler stuff, Kai's Dragon Ball stuff. I've got Macross stuff and Voltron stuff. I mean, all over the freaking place. I have and a lot of Doctor Who stuff. Our house is decked out in nerd chic. And these guys, these pretty burly dudes that were moving this washer into place, were just kind of did their thing. And then one guy looked and he's like, dude, that's a really nice collection. I love that. Like, that's a really, really cool Gundam right there. And I'm like, are you serious? You know this stuff? But you're in the real world. Wow, there are people out here. Awesome. And I kind of like chatted with him for a few moments and told him, yeah, this is kind of what I do for a living. I kind of work on this stuff. And he was like, oh my God. We didn't go there, thank God. I guess by that he probably thought, oh, so you collect this stuff for a living. That's how do you make money doing that? I'm like, oh, but it was really funny. So I love when life at a con bleeds over a little bit into my everyday life, because everyday life is boring. It's boring as hell. I love it when I see just the spirit of an anime convention existing in miniature somewhere out in this drab workaday living. It's fun. It makes me hope for the future.
I bought a Black Butler pen that I wear on my favorite jacket that I wear everywhere, and I have never gotten so many compliments. They're like, that is the coolest looking pen. What is it? And I'm just like, it's Butler.
Yeah. Well, I went to Hot Topic, I think, on a break because Funimation's right down the street from the mall, which is both good and bad when you have free time. Just like, oh my God. Although I got attacked also. My nail got buffed before I could take it away. One of my index. So I've got a really fucking shiny index fingernail, and I'm like, oh, you bastard. He said, no, let me finish. I'm like, no.
They do. They're so aggressive. They want to manicure
no,
you.
you just ruined the integrity of my nail. You have no idea what you've done.
I know it looks shiny, but you're actually ruining the nail. You're
that's why I don't
away
do it. But
layers.
I went to Hot Topic
I just learned
and
something.
You just learned something.
Don't buff your fingernails
Well,
with
no,
that
because
shit.
Tatum bought one because the guy that sold it to him was cute. Okay.
So you guys are going and getting manicures together. That's
and
how we
he's
bring the story
talking
on.
about it the next day to me and Will Short, and Will and I are just like, dude, what the hell? You're ruining your nails. I didn't know.
I'm like, I didn't know he was
I like
cute.
Will knows that.
He had blue eyes. Yeah, Will gave me like a father talking to. He's like, don't do that. You will screw up your nails, and you might as well not even have any after you keep doing that like for a year. He's like, my girlfriend did that, and it completely fucked up her nails. You do that, and you're gonna just.
Seriously,
and I'm like,
it makes them weaker and weaker.
Okay,
like after that, after like I used to do it, I just like I took biotin for like 2 years, and now my nails are ridiculously strong. But it's a really lame mutant ability. It's like, oh, is that all you do?
It makes mutant ability, actually.
That's a minor inconvenience.
But, ow! Oh, am I bleeding? No. Ouch, though.
Ouch.
Ouch. But I went to Hot Topic and I found a Black Butler shirt just randomly. It was like 4 sizes too big, but I went, how much is this? And she's like, well, there isn't a price tag, so I'm going to have to look it up. And I put it, so you see Sebastian's face, and she's just, what is this? I'm like, it's Black Butler. She's like, so if I type that in, it'll pull that up? She's like, yeah. She's like, I just don't know the price or whatever. What's it about? Like, what's this about? And, like, did like the hand thing. And I'm like, it's an anime. She's, I don't get that. And I went, you don't need to. I said it just like that.
You don't need to.
I love that I'm in a room with like two of the biggest Butler fans in Funimation building. Like I mean, Terri, I would come in with season 2. She would come in every day after it came out because Funimation simulcasting.
We actually had Gino come out and shush us.
Yeah. She's like, oh my god, did you see? And Claude, and oh my god,
what happened?
What is that? I think because we
even did that when Tatum was auditioning. I'm just like, oh, dude, oh. And that was us at Borders. We found Black Butler. Tatum!
Nice.
Oh yeah, across the bookstore. I'm running. Oh my god.
Oh, we found it.
So good.
So we had people like after we walked away, like walk up to see what we were looking at because we freaked out so much over it. But I bought it, and I'm like, it's a PJ shirt. I'm sure I'll still wear it, but it's like 4 sizes too big. But I don't care.
Just wash it like cold.
Well, no. Okay, t-shirt store. If it's 100% cotton, it won't shrink. If it's 50% cotton, it will.
There's got to be a way.
Don't buff your nails 50% cotton. I learned things here.
Yeah. I learned things too. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, no, I knew that.
Star going up
I only knew that from people coming. It's like, yeah, this shirt shrank. I put a decal for, like I made like a shirt for my mom with all of her grandkids on it. And I'm like, I know, I remember that shirt. It took me 2 hours to put all your stupid kids' fucking names on it. I worked there for 6 months and then I just stopped showing up. But that's usually most of my jobs as a kid. It's like I just stopped showing up. Linens and things, stop showing up. Six Flags, stop showing up. After 7 hours of work, stop showing up. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you keep showing up for anime.
Well, no, because this isn't a job for me. This is awesome stuff.
Oh, it's just awesome.
Yeah, jobs are things that I do to make money. Career is what I do now because it's what I enjoy doing. It's what I trained myself to do, what I saved money up to do, and I love it.
That's awesome. I totally feel you.
Yeah.
It's just a big ball of awesome that when you said earlier, oh, God forbid he actually asked me what I do, it's hard to explain what you do because if we were really able to let go with the joy that this job gives us, everybody, what do you do? Oh my God, okay, first of all, I direct. Second of all, it's this awesome show. And there's this boy and a demon. And I would just go on, but trying not to be that guy. You're just like, oh, anime and
well,
stuff.
It's so funny, like when you were doing Black Butler. Like, I think you were just so happy when it was finally announced. You're like, oh, I can talk about it.
It was so hard.
You should have seen this guy in New York when we did the premiere. Like, he was so nervous. I was nervous too. I was dreadfully nervous because, I always get nervous, but this was like your first
That's my
con,
baby.
first con of that size, certainly.
Definitely.
That's a big fucking con.
Really?
Anime
I haven't been to a really
Fest.
big
It's
con.
Anime
It was
Fest,
huge.
Comic Con, whatever. It was huge. I mean, it was packed with people. I didn't even get to see much of the con because it was so prohibitively crowded, and I don't do well in huge crowds. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to see what I can see, and then I'm going to go.
Well, and also with
back
that
to the
premiere and
hotel.
stuff, I'm sure it would have been hard for you to move around.
Yeah,
The premiere
and
was
it
crazy, and we
but
got really
premiere,
great
yeah.
response.
I saw the
and
videos
everybody.
that were posted on the blog and stuff. I keep up with the blog. Justin,
blog is awesome.
Justin Ross is really good
Go
about keeping
Rojas.
that in the Facebook page updated. But I saw videos of you guys on the premiere and
Yeah.
CL making.
The CL thing was awesome. Still
That
one of my
was
favorite stories.
funny.
That's an
I
old
love that. I
milestone.
can't wait for that to happen more. I love shit like that.
But I remember
love
like
tough
people,
it too.
people kept asking
I
you
love
big
that.
stuff that they're like, okay, stop asking him to do this. We're running out of time.
I'm like, I'll do it. I'll put someone's shoes on. I'll fix someone's tie.
That's
I'll
so
fix
cool.
your hat. I don't care. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I've had so
basic.
many. And the great thing, it was really funny. I was at Onicon in Houston for Halloween a few weeks ago. And fun con, really fun con. I'd never been before. The winners of the cosplay competition there were two different versions of CL. One his typical, traveling outfit, the blue, and his other the beautiful
Pink dress?
Oh,
that's awesome.
from the
That
Let's Go
is what
Undercover
it- yeah.
episode, or also known as the Corset episode. And
Of course, that happened.
and it was funny because they had these girls had made these costumes from scratch. Like they had made them, which is why they won, because these were beautiful, beautiful reproductions, and they looked absolutely wonderful, and they looked great. I mean, these girls were just the right size and height and type, their faces,
So
everything.
they weren't
They
cosplaying
looked-
out of like a body type that wasn't theirs or anything.
Yeah, no, it was perfect.
knew
Like,
what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing, and even CL's cane with the skull, with the silver skull on it. I looked and I'm like, this is an awesome cane. Where did you get this? They
Ian's
made
eyes
the
are
cane
twinkling.
as well.
Twinkling.
They've made the cane as well, and it was funny because they're little things, these little girls. Compared to me, I'm like this big hulking fucker, and and they see them, and Chris Ayers, of course, points them out to me because I was in my own little world and didn't see them. And they had just come back from the cosplay competition because they had their award with them, which was like as big as they were. This trophy, right?
Like, fuck.
And Chris is like, Michael, Tatum, you've got to see these, Tatum. And he had said, hey, would you like to meet Sebastian? And I guess they didn't know that he wasn't talking about just a Sebastian cosplayer, which there were a handful there, of course, there always are. And I came over and they're like, who is this? Because they didn't know me
Your
on
cosplay
sight.
is horrible if you are Sebastian.
I was like, because I'm like wearing a sweater and this hat, and once Chris introduced me, they were like, oh my god! So we took tons and tons of pictures, and one of them, actually both of them were so tiny, I was able to like pick them up and do the sort of
That's awesome.
the wedding
Sebastian
the wedding day. let's cross our new threshold to our new home together lift, and it was really funny because they were like, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, oh honey, I can pick you up, come here. And it was just woo, and so we got a picture of that, and Joshua got a couple, but he hasn't posted them yet. He takes so many pictures at conventions, it takes him months to get through them all. So like another year from now, you'll see those pictures.
I can't wait.
But they were awesome. I love cosplayers in general. I'm always excited to see cosplayers. I don't often see. Up until Black Butler, I've never seen a lot of people cosplay as characters that I've had the fortune to play.
Yeah.
Every now and again, I'll run into, say, an Isaac and Miria that are really creative. In fact, there was a great Isaac and Miria at a con a few months back that like changed outfits every few hours.
Aww.
That's
So
really
they did,
great.
yeah. They did, and it was, and they ran the gamut, and they looked like the characters enough anyway, and it was really cool, And I've seen some other cosplay, but Black Butler, it's like just seeing Black
my
Butler
God. I
everywhere. It's
I
awesome.
nerded out
Waiting
so
to see a
much
bard.
because
I've met one bard.
I brought my friend Sarah. Pretty much, she just became like our assistant during YoleCon, but she's really into Black Butler. And I saw an Alois, and I just went, I love her, Alois! And she just went...
There was a bard
You
at
know who I
Onicon. There was a bard at Onicon. There was a group that did all of them. That did Grell and Madame Red
that's so
and,
cool.
and all of them, and even
Finny.
Tanaka, and it was really cool. And it was like there's.
We can
I
keep
see.
One of
I
these
see
days,
bards
I'm
on-
going to go to a con totally decked out in a chef's outfit. I made that decision.
You should totally do it.
months ago.
I'm
Paint your
thinking
hair.
about. I'm thinking about.
Do it.
I'm thinking about trying to pull off Sebastian,
Oh,
but
do
that's
it.
it's gonna be difficult. I'm not slim enough. I need to trim down a bit first because otherwise I'll just look like a big guy in a coat. And
Silly.
You know, but I do. I want to. There's several characters I want to cosplay, and Sebastian is one of them. But oh, man.
I thought, it's
I
like,
need to wing,
I would love to be. I would love to cosplay, but
that he does.
I was thinking about the he's got the long sort of the frock coat, the dancing instructor one. He's got the glasses, you know. Because I want to get the glasses. I'll just get like a little chain to put around my glasses, and then have the frock coat. Because I know a theatrical costumer that'll make it for me. Like, you know, and she's really good. I know several.
And they sell the stick-on tattoos for the back of your hand. For the
I'm totally.
I know all about the merch. I love that show.
No, I've got the Sebastian keychain.
They started streaming the first 4 episodes. Of course, we should say.
I just saw that.
The first 4 dubbed episodes. I watched the first 2. I haven't.
Go on.
Look, yeah.
Yeah?
It's good. Yeah, no, I gave Tatum a big hug when he came in today.
Good.
Because he knows I'm a big dork, so.
Terri has been such an inspiration to me while working on that show because she knows so goddamn much about it. Like beforehand, I talked to her for hours before the audition because she'd done so much homework. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to go to you.
Thank you.
and because I mean, that's Terri when she gets into something and she loves the show. Ian, trust me, she's a fangirl for the show. She downplays it, but really, like when you get her alone, she's like, oh my god, it's so good. Oh, and this happens. And,
Steven is very annoyed, but he's like, well, I engineered it, so can you give me a sec before we watch it? Please.
No.
But oh my god, we could talk about.
I'll talk about.
When it comes out, we need to have like a screening. We need to have a screening, and we need to have a Black Butler like cast party. I want to have a party.
I think I have a big screen in my apartment. I will talk about it later. But yes.
It's definitely guys because that's Black Butler is one of my all-time favorite shows I've ever gotten to work on.
Oh, and we have so many good people that would be that we would have out there. I mean, just the level of talent in that show. I was spoiled.
Aww.
My goodness gracious. You and Brina, first off, wow.
Oh, Brina is amazing.
You and Brina.
Just in general, the two of you all together.
I always sound good if Brina's in the mix. I mean, come on. How could, because Brina, I gotta bring my A game if I know Brina's going to be next to me.
Oh, yeah, right?
Because Brina's fucking amazing. Everything we've done together, I'm like, fuck, I have to act now. Thanks, Brina. Jesus. Thanks for being good, so now I can.
And you can see that with the show. Everybody is just like, wow, the bar's up there. Okay, what can I do? What can I do? And we had that definitely with the servants. I mean, Monica Rial,
you guys are so awesome.
Monica, and Jason.
Joshua cracks up. There are 2 things that crack him up. Regardless, every time you speak as Bard, he howls. He loves it. Like he's like, "Oh my god!" And you have to understand, Joshua is an even bigger Anglophile than I am. Like this guy, like being a kid, would watch nothing but like PBS, BBC stuff ever. You know, it's all he would do, and so he's very picky about that the spirit of British type, drama, whatever. But every time he hears Bard, he cracks up, and every time he hears Tanaka going, it kills him. I love it. Those 2 things.
Tanaka's so well written.
But everyone sounds great. I love Liebrecht is awesome. He's so adorable as Finney, and of course, I mean Monica. Monica's everything she touches turns to gold. So of course she's so awesome.
Funny. I remember, and I tell the story all the time. Like she's still one of my favorite things she did was a scene where she's running to go get Finney and to go warn him about something, and she's running, and in the script it was just open mouth running, and so she just. But for some reason she has her like trip and all this other stuff and recover, and it's just so funny and just such subtle small ways she brought it out that like the rest of us just sat back saying, I have to, okay, we got to match that. And when we pulled in Finney, I was like, dude, this is where the servants are right now. We know you can rock that. I was a big fan of Enchman and I'm a Liebrecht fan in general.
Well, Liebrecht is an amazing actor. I've had the honor of seeing him in Number. He was in the first show I ever directed. He was a character that sounds nothing like him, and that's the thing. The man has got such a mutable voice. Like you can't recognize him.
Because if you meet him, you're like, you're Jason.
Yeah, no,
because I met him like only knowing him from Tsubasa, and I'm like, really? Wow.
Well, it's funny because he was in Aquario on the very first show I directed. Mm-hmm. He was one of the main characters. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. I can't remember the character's name right now. But we used to call him Birdman because he has this really, bird looking. I mean, he kind of, he kind of looks. He's got weird hair and he's got this beak of a nose and he's sort of and he talks kind of like this. I mean, that's a terrible impression of him. But Jason sounds nothing like that in person. The first time Jason came in, I thought I'd fucked up and didn't know who I was supposed to be directing because I was like, I had all these character lines highlighted, and he comes in, I'm like, well, that can't be that guy. And he gets in the booth, he's like, okay, so how are we doing this? And I'm like, oh, there's the voice. Shit, where is that coming from? And just watching him do it, like coming out, because he would stay in character in between takes a lot, because he's a very focused, very intense actor. I've only worked with him a handful of times, but everything I've seen him in, he's great. Yeah. And but I love the servants in Black Butler. And one of my favorite episodes is the episode where we go back and see Sebastian sort of collecting all of them, And,
yeah, 21's that's such a good episode.
That's a great episode.
The commentary should be a lot of fun for that. I don't want to give too much away, but everyone in that show sounds so fucking good. It's one of those, and I'm, it sounds really biased and self-serving. And of course I'm biased. I love the show, but I'm very proud of it.
Well, I'm not because okay, I'm in it. Never mind. But I'm nothing like really big, not like Sebastian big. But of course, I'm a big fangirl. So actually, if anything, I should have been so ready to hate the duck.
Oh, thank you for not hating it.
But
I love now that because there was there's other people are always going to hate, but I love that. I mean, the majority of people I have spoken to seem really, really pleased with it. Oh yeah, and I mean really, really like it.
Because a lot of love went into it. You can tell when people really don't care about a show that they're directing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can tell. You can always tell.
Colleen directed the first 6 episodes, and you can tell she just really got into it. She killed herself over those auditions.
Oh God, yes, she did. Yeah. She did. Poor thing. Because Colleen, and we all know this from having worked with her a lot. But she's a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's been my boss before too. I'm like, oh God, and she's like, no, that's got to be this. But she is just absolutely an artist, and she doesn't think of herself like that. She's like, no, this has to be, you do it. This is good. That's just her work ethic driving her. Mm-hmm. Like, no, this has to be awesome. So it's great. She's very, very particular. Hell, that was a long audition for me. When I came into audition, she had me read for freaking everybody. I was in there for like an hour, it felt like. And I'd never... And
you were recording with someone.
I was recording with Mike that day. And Mike was like...
what the hell?
I was like, Mike, can you give me like half an hour to go do this audition? He's like, yeah, sure. We're making good time. Because we were recording Full Metal that day. Full Metal Alchemist that day.
Tatum is really fast, just so we all know. This man...
I can be. I have my days where I'm like, oh God, where's my brain? But
we all do.
But Mike was like, yeah, sure. And it was funny because I didn't realize like time had passed. And like it had been almost an hour, and Colleen was like, "Well, that's cool, sweetie." And then Mike like pokes his head in the door. It's like, "Hey, can I get him back? Because I've only got 2 more hours, and we got like a lot of." And Colleen was like, "Oh my God, you have a session today? Why did you tell me?" I'm like, "I didn't think to tell you. I really didn't realize so much time had passed." But
just showed your dedication.
It was really funny, and I'm sure the fans at OhioCon they'll know who I'm talking about. 2 weeks after, about a week after the audition process, I was in Ohio for OhioCon. It was my second one in a row, and walking from one panel to another, and in so doing, like, got the message I got a text from Colleen, which I still have. I had saved it. It says, "Hey, brush up on your received pronunciation. You're Sebastian. Congratulations." And I'm like, oh my God! Inside I'm just beaming, but of course I can't. I'm in public, so I'm not going to start doing cartwheels.
Called it.
Nice. And
called it. A lot of us went, called it, and you're like, really? Like, you guys are just that. You guys are just that like up with it. Like, yeah, we all knew it.
But it was really funny because I no sooner had I put my phone back in my pocket after reading this awesome text that I got from Colleen, that a couple of girls come up to me with a Black Butler wall scroll and ask me to sign it, because they're like, "We don't know if you've ever heard of this show or if Funimation will ever get it, but if you do, you should totally play Sebastian. And could you sign this? Because we're so sure that you're going to do it."
That's the best wall scroll ever.
So I actually I actually signed it. I put a big old question mark at the end of it, even though because I couldn't tell them, obviously so cool. I couldn't tell them, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm playing," I couldn't say that. So I just signed it, and I was like, oh my God, I look forward to seeing those fans again. They'll be like, "See, we told you," and I can say, well, yes, I knew. I got told I was going to be Sebastian moments before you approached me with that
is so
wall
cool.
scroll.
Well, see what I love.
So,
I love
kismet.
how cheeky you are about it, because in that video that I watched on the blog, there's, I think, Justin filming Rojas or somebody. It's like, did you hear J. Michael Tatum, Sebastian? I went, really? Because we just met him and he had never heard of this anime. I'm like, because he was lying to you.
Oh, I lie all the time. A very, very good friend of mine, who I tell you is a total fanboy, of course, but he's my friend first. And when he was telling me about Black Butler one night over the phone, just, oh my God, and it's about this. And of course, we were already done recording it, or mostly done. Nice. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fascinating.
Oh, wow,
I hope to have something to do with it. And so when it was announced, he called me like, you son of a bitch.
I love the pictures of you where you're next to people who are like, oh, you should see this Black Butler, and you see Tatum doing the Sebastian pose right next to him with this knowing look, like y'all don't even know.
That is exactly how he
sounds.
That's totally how I sound when I'm not putting on airs.
Now this is what it is. It's new. This is just made up.
Oh, look at you doing a deep voice.
I've got my Tatum impression. Sometimes I audition and I'm like, well,
we were doing this the other day, weren't we?
J. Michael Tatum.
Give us lines. I want us to go back and forth. Like, give us a line and we'll both say it in our deep Tatum voice. Give us a line. Come on, direct us, Terry. I like doing this.
Say what?
Say what?
I think, just give us a line to say, and then we'll each repeat the line in our deep take. Because I'll do it, and then this is Ian doing his imitation of me.
It's my attempt.
It's really funny. He's getting quite good at it.
Got me on the spot.
Yeah, you do. Open up the.
Okay, just a deep, so you guys.
Any line you can think of. It doesn't be stupid, silly. It doesn't matter. We'll chew on it.
I think Harold Lloyd is underrated.
I think Harold Lloyd is underrated.
I think Harold Lloyd is underrated. I try. That's pretty good. You sit there for like hours and hours watching the same scene of "Yes, my lord," and you're just like, "Yes, my lord, yes."
Well, that's how like I started. Like they're like, "That's a really good Tia," and I'm like, because it just came like, "Come on!"
Yeah, you have to adjust and then you're into the voice.
Yeah. But all right, let's get to some questions.
Yes, we got a bunch of questions for you.
Questions, please.
You are very popular. Yes. You're very popular among the fans.
I don't know why, but thank you.
Because you're Ian Sinclair and you're fucking adorable and awesome.
Have we all met Jackie? Jackie.
Yeah.
I can't say her last name.
I have.
Jackie.
Have I?
Yeah.
She's got Gerdog.
Trinity.
Awesome costume for the dog.
Also,
there's also Renge Dog earlier in the day.
But she asks, do you know where your mustache is? Did she give you a mustache?
She gave me the mustache. Yes, I do. That is actually in my bedside table. That was the first piece of fan stuff that I've ever gotten in my life. I'd never, because I've been so many small parts for so long that once Italia and no, there are no small parts. There are just ones that die very quickly. And
I love it. They're like, all right, coming in. All right, that was it.
No, thank you.
Okay,
excellent.
Cool. And that was my first piece of anything, and she handed that to me, and I sent a picture of it to my mom, and I still have that. That is so cool. I love it.
She gave me and Tatum mustaches in Austin. Mine is up on my
mustache.
Okay, well, for those of you who don't know, I don't think you know. Mm-hmm. Tatum knows. I am obsessed with mustaches.
It's a thing.
Nice.
I think they are awesome because, at Guitar Center, I always put Scotch tape mustaches on all the time and would just help customers because if I was in a bad mood, you can't be in a bad mood when you're wearing a fake mustache.
You can't.
No.
And that was my thing is we'd all, and then other guys got into it. So we spent the entire day, wearing shitty Scotch tape Sharpie mustaches. And then I don't know, it just turned into this thing where I love mustaches. I think they are the most hilarious thing, but Jackie gave me one and then she gave Tatum one. Mine is on, I think, Tatum also gave me a fake mustache.
I gave you a fake mustache that I found at a convention. Somebody was. It's like a little. They're almost like opera glasses. They have a little thing, and that you can.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a little handle.
It's
right. So
it's
your
really
mustache,
funny.
Jackie, is right next to Tatum's mustache on my toy shelf.
My family's starting to give me mustache shirts
my mustache
now.
that Jackie gave me. My mustache is in my hutch with all my other. I have several really awesome career-related memorabilia in this hutch. I have the little teacup with the very nice little porcelain teacup with rose petals around it that Caitlin Glass gave me when we finished Oron. That was a gift to all of us because it was there's instant coffee inside of it. Which I will never drink, but it's probably far too late to do so now. Anyway, and then there's my mustache. There is the first bit of fan art that I ever got was a really cool mug. The very first thing any fan ever gave me. There's this mug with Domaki on it from Triple X Holic that this girl made, and some other stuff, some figurines. Including some stuff at a really badass Inaru figurine that our friends at the wonderful unofficial One Piece podcast gave me.
I can't wait.
And a pair of shoes, the awesome purple pair of Chucks
awesome.
that Karen gave me at OhioCon last year. That there's a really funny video of me reacting to getting them because I'm so out of my mind happy to have purple Chucks
so cool.
with like really cool artwork on them.
Too.
I did because I didn't have one. I'd never had Chucks. I'd always wanted them. I couldn't find them.
Yeah, actually, me and Ian again. It was like Black Butler. Like, okay, we got our Chucks on. It's like we really should have like had like magazines and been like sitting, like laying down, like eating popcorn. Like, oh my god, so. Or no, that's when Gino came out because I went OMFNG.
I know.
Oh man. Anyway, we got comments, questions.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question from Madeline.
Hello,
and,
Madeline.
the comment is that she watched the first 4 episodes of Black Butler and really, really, really enjoys them.
Awesome.
And I love this. It's embarrassing to say it out loud, but she's like, may I say, Mr. Tatum, that you are indeed one hell of a butler.
Nice.
Smiley face. But the question, I love this question. What is
this sheet of questions?
I'm
just
totally
frame it.
going to frame it. What is the strangest thing a role has required you to do? And since you are also a veteran stage actor, Ian, you can also dip into that experience and give us some stories from that if you like, because I know often getting on stage you have more time to prepare for a role and you can do more crazy things. But while you think, do you have something in mind?
Well, not
Terri,
required to do. I think the strangest thing was. Again, I always mention it, but like Rin, because it was my first.
Yeah, Rin.
My first role with. I mean, I won't say like my first like role that wasn't like tiny, because I love all the roles, and I always mention Woman A from Tsubasa, who is from. I learned it the other day, Shara country. I was one of the traveling circus people, and just like, that's me, and I can't watch that anymore, but because it was my first role. I'm like, why do I change? My skin color changes a lot. That's weird. But Woman A, she was in 3 episodes. I find that hilarious. But
Woman A.
But Informant 2 or Informant Assistant, I forget which one they actually went with. But I knew because I had already watched Rin. So going in, I think it wasn't anything Tatum or you asked me to do, but I thought it was funny that I watched my first couple of cues, which is me going downtown Julie Brown on Jamie, and
like you do,
and I watch it and I look so confused that I didn't even realize that. So Tatum goes, "All right, oh sweetie, I can't believe I didn't ask that. Are you okay with this?" I'm like, yeah.
I'm like, now I gotta run
then why are you making that face? I'm like, because I'm just confused on how I'm gonna make these sounds. I'm like, so is my tongue gonna be out or?
She was really big. She's like, what, should I cut my hands? And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm like, you're asking me? I have no idea. I'm like, I have no clue. Sorry,
but no,
not my area of expertise.
So it's only that, and then you also taught me kind of as a voice actor, which I'm saying I'm getting more work now, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I'm very, very excited. Ian gave me like a really awesome role that I can't talk about yet.
we can't talk.
But no, not yet. He just gave it to me. He's like, here, take it. But I learned stances from Tatum, all that, which is
I learned stances from you from Tatum.
yeah.
I learned.
because
I
you
learned
were-
stances from Bevins. Bevins is the one who taught me as a director the importance of stances and how you should stand to get a readout, and that's why I'm very physical in the booth when it's required. You know,
Isaac's story is brilliant.
Isaac was very physical, but every character is. Even the characters that don't move a lot. How I stand is very important. Like, you know, and how I I know what you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
you remember that.
He's son of a bitch. He
Sebastian
surprised me
has
one
sex
day.
with a nun.
There is a funny note, and there's and during that scene, like I was so distracted by what was going on because it was hilarious. It's a hilarious scene.
Well, because
like,
he's talking throughout the whole time.
He's talking, and it's like, and he is just plowing the hell out of this.
And you
nun.
can, and the sound effects go.
Yeah, I mean, like, and
it's not
like the
her just
camera
going
is
like,
shaking, and
it's
she's
like,
screaming,
awesome.
and it's just hilarious. Yeah, it's really, and I'm like, I have never in my life had sex like that with anyone. So I just thought this was funny, and I was trying really not anyone between four people. It's different. You've got more. You know, inertia to work with there. So you're going to shake some things up. Oh, yeah. What am I talking about? I don't really know. So that was, and that, I guess this kind of comes into my answer to Madeline's question is
Madeline. I love that name.
It's a great name. When we were doing that scene with the nun, after like a take or two, I was like, God, we weren't, it's like there's something missing from this. And I figured, I'm like, oh, that's why. Hello, I'm not doing this. So I actually I was thrusting.
Hands at the side of the booth.
Hands at the side of the booth, and I was doing the pelvic thrust thing while I was doing the line, because it needed, in his voice while he was talking, you need to hear the body moving, because he's definitely not just standing still.
Your core is being compressed.
And it was really funny because we get into this, and I'm so leaned into the mic that I can't see out the window, and I'm doing this, and it's really funny, and of course, I'm hearing all the sound effects and going, wow, and I say the line, which we can't say because it's not out yet, but it's a funny line, and it was really difficult to do, but fun, and then I look, and fucking Ian is watching me, he's like sitting there going, oh my God, you actually did it, you did the pelvic thrust. I'm like, oh God damn it, you watched me.
Well, see,
Kevin's laughing his ass off. The take was awesome. What you have to do to make the take awesome is anything.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I also saw that with Bevins. What Bevins was all about making everybody do reactions, but now I can't turn the reactions off. Where I'll be getting out of the shower and pat my face dry, and I'll be and then sit down.
I can't lift anything anymore. Just going.
Or I'm gonna move my mic and just close down or stuff like that. But there's a show that hasn't come out. I didn't direct it. I'm in it. Ian's directing it or directed it, and you are so completely unsure of yourself when you're directing yourself. It's so because I'm like, you have no idea how amazing you are.
Oh.
You really don't. But he was so unsure of it that he's like, I think I'm just gonna, and I'm telling this story because I just think it's ridiculous how unsure of you, because you sounded great. But
well, the good ones always are.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I know, but he was actually like, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna. I don't know why I just censored myself. Fuck it. I'm gonna recast. And I was on my lunch and I went, can you show me what this is? I got pissed off at him. And I'm like, no, show me. He's like, well, after you're done. I'm like, I'm done with lunch now. Let's go. I had 10 minutes left. I'm like, come on. And I made him get in there with me. I brought his engineer in there with me, and he showed me. I'm like, okay, it's that you're not sure, and that's what's coming off. And so, how are you doing it? And I made him take this attitude with it and stuff like that. I like that. I'm like, see, don't you dare fucking recast yourself. And,
I can play teens again.
Yeah.
It's hard directing yourself, though, isn't it? I mean,
Bard was torturous. Beautifully torturous.
And I think Bard sounds great. I think Bard's one of the funniest performances in that show, and that's saying something because I think everyone is spot on. But Bard is really good. I mean, every time I listen to Bard, I'm like, holy shit, this is so good. Stop crying on me, you little pussy. I'm trying to compliment you. Bard is really good. But I had to direct myself as one of the main characters in Aquarion, and it was hard. It's hard to do because you're like, damn, it's hard. Because you don't have.
I think it's necessary both as a director and an actor.
It is necessary. I mean, Chris Ayres and I have talked about this before. Chris Ayres does not believe one should ever direct oneself unless contingency demands it, and he loves the phrase, a man who directs himself has a fool, or a man who directs himself has a fool for a director and an actor, and I disagree with Chris on very few things, but that one I have to, I agree with him because it's very, very difficult. It's very hard to do, and generally we don't have time to direct ourselves, the way one. I mean, I took so much more time on the roles I had to direct myself on than I wanted to, because I'm like, no, I'm faster than this. Why does it take me so long? But it's difficult to separate it, because then you are both a voice actor and a director, and it's so vital to try to separate those two out from each other in the booth, because when you're being directed by someone else, your job is to do what you're being told, and as a director, your job is to give a direction and see it come to life in the actor. So there's a very clear division there that helps both people involved do the best they can. And when that division is gone because you're having to direct yourself, it's difficult. You're like, okay, well, here's where I want to take it, but one of the best things in directing another human being is the surprise you can get when you get a read you weren't anticipating, but that totally makes sense. Well, that's completely gone. You're never going to give a read that's going to surprise yourself, because it came from you. And so you lack that. You lack that. Wow, that actor is really doing weird things, and you don't. There's no dialogue between you and the director. Really, there is, but it's all in your head, and it's all one little big blob of thinking going on in your head, and it makes you really doubt yourself. But just as Bevins gave me the best piece of advice I've ever been given as an actor, is when I was my very first role, the character I was playing was very nervous and very much the reluctant hero, bit of a wuss actually, who grows over the course of the show to be a little braver than he might have been, but for the influence of the other characters. And I was so nervous myself as a human being doing this completely new thing in front of a mic, never having voice acted before, hadn't acted myself in any capacity for years before doing it, and I was terrified. Every time I'd come in to record, I was terrified. Bevins was a friend of mine. I knew him very well, but I would get sick. I would have to I'd have to breathe a lot and meditate before going in, because I'd be like, oh, this is going to be, I was so doubting myself. And Bevins said a great thing. He was like, you know what's wrong? You know why this is taking so long for you to get this particular line or this one? Stop trying to pretend like you're not fried. You're not terrified. Stop. Just own your doubt. It belongs to the character. It's now the character's. Give it to the character and go with it. And once I realized that, I brought that over. Once I clicked and made the same leap in being able to direct myself in Aquarion as Toma, I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just use my doubt. And you just learn to creatively use your doubt and own it, rather than try to act around it. Because if you're so busy trying to mask the fact that you're terrified as an actor, you're wasting all your energy acting like you're not afraid, when your energy should go into acting like the goddamn character you're playing, and so when I made that crossover, it was really funny, and I think sometimes some people get there instinctively, whether they know that's what they're doing or not. Some people just get there, and you clearly know how to direct yourself. You just don't think you do.
I was thrown into it. I mean, which brings me to something you say earlier, like I get to talk about Black Butler as a huge fanboy, because it was not. I did not birth it. I raised it. Colleen. I came in and I found out I was barred the same day I was asked to direct. I came in and I was like, oh, I got cast. Who am I? Oh, the chef. Oh, that's awesome. I love to cook. This is gonna be great. And she's like, yeah. You ever want to direct? And I'm like, give me just a minute. Yeah. But so I got to kind of sit back and watch y'all start the first bit, and that's where I sat barred. That's where we sat all of the characters. I mean, and I got to watch that be done. So I got to be a fan from that point, and then pick it up as I went on. And so taking Bard over was just this weird, like, okay, here's the weight of Black Butler, and Bard's yours. Go for it. And I just said, I can't mess this up. It is such a beautiful, and something clicks, and you just all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, let's go, and you just get in that booth.
Well, because you have to. You can't. You can't think about like how popular a show is whenever you're working on it. just
you
would never be able to stop, because I am that kind of person. Like, great, let's move on. Okay, I changed my mind. Go back. I am that, but
there's the Aesop fable about the father and son and their donkey. That I bring this up when people talk about, worrying too much about how people are going to take what you do, because you have no control over it. At the end of the day, you have no control. You could bend over backwards trying to anticipate everything somebody may take issue with regarding your approach to the dub or the role that you're playing or the show you're writing or whatever, and still you still fuck it up. I mean, you can, and then you'll have wasted all that energy that you should have just in the first place dedicated to doing what you think is best. And the fable is, the merchants is this guy and his son and their donkey are walking through this new city trying to find, the marketplace where they hope to make some money. They're strangers, so their situation is perilous, and they're walking along with the donkey, and they overhear some people in the crowd say, "What's stupid guys? Like, they have this donkey. One of them should be riding it. This is kind of stupid. I don't think I'd ever buy anything from a merchant that didn't have the sense to use the donkey the way they ought to be used." And so they hear this, and they're like, "Well, one of us should ride the donkey because people are clearly looking at us weird. So So father's like, "Well, I'll get on the donkey and you lead." So they do that, and then for a little while they start hearing people in the crowd go, "You believe that guy? I can't believe it. What a mean motherfucker! With his poor son's forced to walk all this way, and he just gets to sit up on top of this donkey. That's that's just mean. I'd never buy something from some guy who was so mean towards his own son." So I'm like, okay, well, we should change places then. people are talking, so we'll do this. And so the son then takes the saddle, and the father leads. And after a few minutes, they hear people going, "What the fuck, man? What a little brat, I can't believe he's making his poor old father walk while he's just sitting in the lap of luxury on top of this pack mule." I would never buy something from a merchant who was so indulgent towards such a little spoiled brat. So they're like, okay, what the fuck? Well, maybe you know what? We'll both ride him. So they both get on the donkey, and then people are like, "Oh my God, those people are so mean. That poor donkey is on its last leg, and here they are just on top of the damn thing." And this poor donkey, if there was any shred of decency to either one of them, they'd be carrying that donkey themselves. Poor thing. I would never buy anything from someone who was so mean towards animals. And so they're like, okay, fuck it. So they end up getting this rig and carrying the donkey on a spit between them. And then when they're trying to cross a bridge, he's so heavy they drop him and he falls over and drowns. And the moral of the story being, if you try to please everybody, you're fucked. Your donkey will drown. Your donkey will drown.
Way to drown the donkey.
Way to drown the donkey. And so in anything, and this is in any walk of life, you have to do what, you have to be guided by your own intelligence and your own instincts and your own feeling of what's going to work and what's not. And if somebody thinks that's wrong, someone's going to think that wrong. There's always going to be people that think that's wrong, and there's always going to be people that think, "Oh my God, that's." And some people will warm to it after a while, and you just have to realize, with everything, that not everyone's going to be the audience for what you're trying to do, and you just have to hope for. You have to aim for the audience that what you're doing deserves. Yeah. And hope that it's a big one, of course. But, in working on a show, for example, like Butler, which has such a huge fan base, there's always going to be people that don't like it because everyone has their own idea of what's going to work and what isn't. But there's always going to be people that go, wow, I'm always impressed by the people that are prepared to hate it, or at least not pay much attention to the dub because they're like, oh, there's no way the dub's going to be anywhere near as good as the Japanese. And I think what people need to understand is, in any show, we're not trying to be as good as the Japanese. We're trying to be good, but it's not a competition. As we are caretakers of this property, trying to bring it to a bigger audience, and so we're doing our own version of it, and we don't want to just imitate the Japanese because that's insulting to the seiyus who are fucking awesome. I don't want to be their puppet. I don't want to be like, then the show becomes then the dub just gets reduced to basically a mock-up, a skit of the Japanese, and that's terribly, terribly insulting to the original and the creators. And I've said this many times before, but it bears repeating. I think a work of art, whether it be a show or a book or a play or what have you, is a work of art by virtue of how many different interpretations it can sustain and still feel whole and that it belongs. And so that there can be 2 or 3 different versions of the same thing that all work on their own merits is a testament to how hardy and enduring the original concept is. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I'd just like to take this moment to inform the listeners that he doesn't just give these bits of wisdom just for you guys in this show. This is what it's like being with Tatum. He gives you wisdom. I love these stories. I'm telling you, you sit in the booth and you just go, oh crap, we got to work. In fact, we had to come up with the s'mores are burning. We had to come up with a code because I would just sit there and we just talk and just debate art and stuff like that.
Or one of Kevin's just...
Well, tell that story. I love that story. The camping trip.
The camping trip. Oh, yeah. And I do want to answer the question about my answer with the craziness in a minute.
Oh, yeah. We have a question.
But the camping trip thing is we would have recording Sebastian. We would have multiple per contract 8-hour days, and it would just be
long days.
And I personally, as a director, like to dim all the lights. I hate overhead lighting, so we brought in little lamps and we just decorated the room so it was this very dark, low light because I wanted the atmosphere. I wanted everything. So we'd have these like dimly lit room, me, Kevin Leisure, hey Kevin, what's up? And Tatum, and we would just it would be these 8-hour sessions, and we'd call them camping trips because at the end of the day we'd all just kind of stagger out of this dark, musty room and just be like, I felt like we bonded like we were on a camping trip for 4 days, man. It's just you know each other so well. You learn
but
a
at
little
the end of
about
the camping
yourself.
trip, you're like, I'm not going to talk to you for a couple weeks.
I need to shave. I need a bath. You know.
I'll see you in the morning. You do things that you never want. Yeah, it's But my answer to get back to
the strangest thing a role required you to do.
Madeline
or Madeline.
Hello, Madeline or Madeline. I would give a couple answers.
Maddie. We'll call her Maddie.
One of my favorites being I did a goat walla with Mr. J. Michael Tatum, which was awesome. It was like, I believe it was a One Piece, yeah, right?
It was One Piece.
And we, for like a minute and a half queue, just had to...
It was like this army of goats. It was hilarious, like charging and fighting, and it was so funny because they were all so like,
and they were always constantly moving. So for a minute and a half, us and someone else, I can't even remember because it's just a frantic memory.
I think Bruce Lewis was part of that, and there's one other person who I can't remember because there was 4 of us, and I can't remember the 4th. Damn it! I feel bad.
Packed into this small little booth just for a minute and a half. And we're just looking at each other, being like, "Keep going." So that was an awesome one.
I forgot about that. I love when you bring that up.
One of my favorite memories. The very first line that I really remember saying was, I'm glistening with man grease, and I think that was for shit. No, it was either for, I think it was Desert Punk. It was
That's probably Desert Punk.
I said I'm glistening with man grease, and that was a good one. But I go with Terri, man. Ren. It was.
Oh yeah,
and I love
you. You had some pretty.
Yeah, you were like, I want violent. You're not just having sex with her, you're fucking her and eating her at the same time.
That's what Rob McCullum fondly referred to as hate fucking.
Hate fucking, yes. And
leave it to Rob.
Oh, God, I love Rob. Rob McCullum is one of my favorite people on this planet.
He played,
he's
of course, one of the male leads in Ren.
Rob is a blood brother of mine. I love that guy.
Rob knows that I find him very cute.
Rob played Koki, one of the male leads in Ren, and he also played Curio, one of my favorite characters in our Romeo and Juliet. Rob has done tons of stuff. He's actually one of my favorite actors out there. He is
mentor for me for years.
Fucking amazing.
I love that guy. Yeah. But we were doing the scene, and you're just like, hey, fucking whatever. And I think we did it in one take, but you were just like, whatever. And yeah, I'm in there, I'm thrusting, I'm biting, and I'm going to have to walk away from the mic to properly express this. I finished this long cue, and you're just into it, and the world goes away as you're staring at this screen, and you're just hate fucking. And I look out through the window, and I see Tatum jumping up and down going,
That's a great impersonation of his laugh.
Well, shall we take a little break?
Take a 5 or 10 or 15. You guys won't know. But we'll take a break, and when we come back, more Ian Sinclair. And we're back.
Whoa. That was intense.
Well, it's from like an old SNL thing where Jimmy Fallon's being the most annoying fucking radio host. And we're back! It just kept getting more and more obnoxious.
Oh, yeah.
was very. I wasn't ready to be thrust back into this so soon. You're like, we're back. Oh god! It's like,
you guys ready? Let's go, fuckers!
Anyway,
I've got the bins. I haven't had ample time to depressurize from my break yet, and then suddenly we're back, and someone just cracked open a window.
Hey, Tatum Sinclair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tatum Sinclair. That sounds.
Tatum Sinclair. That's a rich sounding name.
Yes.
Tatum Sinclair.
Tatum Sinclair.
Welcome to the manor.
And it could be
the
a
manor
J.
Sinclair.
We could keep the J.
J. Tatum Sinclair.
So I am a J. Ian Sinclair.
That's right. You are J. We're both J's. I chose J because
the J?
Michael is a very common name.
You let everyone in the world know. You don't have to.
It's Judson, actually.
Is it really?
It's Judson. It's a family name. My grandfather was Judson.
That's a good.
Thank you.
So your initials are Jis?
Yes. My gamer tag is J.I. Sinclair, and everybody goes
Then you were
online.
Sinclair.
Yeah, I do have people online asking who's Claire when I beat them at Call of Duty. Anybody want to go? J.I. Sinclair, let's go. A little Black Ops action.
Oh no!
I'm about to get whooped by a lot of fans, I can tell.
Oh hey, I love to hurry. Go. Hey, I love to work in this. No,
Duh! Hope you direct better than you melee.
Aw. So Tatum Sinclair.
Sinclair.
We mentioned One Piece before the break, and
Yes.
I felt it's fitting to start back up with one of my One Piece favorite fans, which is Steve Yerko.
Steve. We say it like that.
Steve.
But see, because I was like very Steve Yerko, so I'm like, Steve. But do a Steve for
Do a
us.
Steve for us. Do a creative Steve.
Steve! That's like something different.
Okay, count of 3. We should all do our own versions of Steve together.
Oh.
Ready? Ready? One on after 3, not on 3.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Steve.
All right, so this comes from Steve. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Okay,
I know, it's kind of creepy.
I know. No, I got that from. I've been watching Daria on Logo, so it's like that was like, you look so pretty.
I love that show's like back on the air, or like not back on the air, but that they're rerunning it after all these years.
Wow, I don't remember
Daria.
last time I heard of
Daria.
Daria.
98 maybe.
97, and it ran for like 2 or 3 years. I was a huge Daria
Oh,
freak,
yeah.
and there were
Me
Daria
too.
movies, and because Daria started out on Beavis and Butthead.
Yep.
But a lot
She
of,
was a side
but,
character.
yeah, no. But anyways, I just love doing that voice. And okay, all right. This comes from Steve. I don't know. Okay, this just in. I don't know if anyone is aware of just how monumental it is having Ian Sinclair, or Sinclair, and J. Michael Tatum together under the same roof. In case you may not have known, both of these men were featured in 2 very prestigious roles in the film One Piece, The Desert Princess and the Pirates. They were Duck A and Duck B of the Supersonic Duck Squadron. If they would be so humble to reenact a snippet of dialogue between these 2 characters, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure it will be an unforgettable performance.
I really don't remember what.
Were we duck people or were we just dogs?
No, we were dogs. I remember doing this, but I don't remember what I did. It was like a. Oh.
You are bilingual, sir.
I speak sheep, duck, Old English.
So I was about to say, like, do like a French duck.
Well, that's really sounds just the same, actually.
Yeah.
No, did they say wah?
What?
I'm trying to remember because
I think that I remember my duck just going, but it's been so long and I don't remember. I can't work doing this. Wait, okay.
Quack.
My duck sounds like a fart.
Yeah.
I should stop.
fantastic question,
Steve. Thank you very much. Shall we have a fart contest? Hang on. Can you?
Ew.
You know, yours just sound like you dropped something.
This is from the Eric Vale School of Acting. Hold on.
I know, right? He
Oh, juicy. All right.
We're adults.
We're adults, and this never, ever gets old. Hearing farts will always be funny to me.
We're giving them a peek into what it's like in the booth.
What?
We're giving them a peek into what it's like in the booth.
Funny side note, I actually do get called in for people that can't burp.
Nice.
I can't burp on cue.
I've never been called in for burps on a couple of occasions. Sergeant Frog, I am Brina Palencia burping.
Nice. I always shoot for Barney Gumble anytime I burp.
I always find it hilarious that Brina has trouble burping on cue because
she's like, no, I have no trouble burping. It's just...
But she can't do it on cue because that woman is so full of gas. I remember so many shows I've been on together. She'll be like, oh, damn it, oh, in the mood, between takes. I'm like, Jesus, save some of that for the kids. Like,
I can burp on
but the
cue.
minute,
I love burping.
It's like being pee shy. The minute someone's looking at you, you don't gotta go no more. It's just that, it's just crazy. Well, I mean,
it
must be wonderful.
Well, see, you mentioned your little half-price story.
The guy that, yeah.
Well, like, after the movie,
God.
Of course, I've been holding it, and I'm like, God, fuck, I forgot this movie, because Josh Greeley and I and Steven went to go see Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 at the movie tavern down the street from my place, and I forgot the movie was 2.5 hours long, so I'm like, fuck. So I run, and I'm like, I think I actually did that and just, like, sat down, and I'm like, But then this woman sits down next to me, and she pretty much rushed with me, but instead of hearing, like, you hear,
oh, yeah.
I'm like, no!
Time to use the shirt as a mask.
Yeah.
Or it's like, you just, like...
I can make it.
Breathe through your mouth. Breathe through your mouth. Breathe through your mouth.
Oh, God, I can taste it. Oh, God. Question the next.
Question the next. This is actually two questions from Cheryl. Long time.
Hello.
We love her long time.
Hello.
Now, this is interesting. The first question, okay, out of all the celebrities out there, theater, film, TV, music, etc., who would you marry, fuck, or kill? Second question, do you have any guilty pleasures? An example being, like, say, liking High School Musical.
So
you tell us that you hate it or something like that.
This is for all of us?
Yeah, this is for all of us. And the thing is, the thing about marry, fuck, or kill is that game only works if you have three names. So if any of you have names you want to come up for the rest of us... Then we can play this, and then we'll talk about some guilty pleasures. I like talking about.
What we can do, because chat room is down right now, unfortunately,
fucking internet.
Each of us, because there are three of us, think of one celebrity, and then we do the game.
Okay, any celebrity. Okay,
any celebrity, dead or alive, anime or not, whatevs.
Okay, let me think. Let me think of a celebrity. Blah blah blah. Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde. There's my.
Okay,
there's one.
Okay, we've got Oscar Wilde.
Why does Mark Hamill keep coming into my head?
Oscar
there you go.
Wilde, Mark Hamill, and Judi Dench.
This is gonna be hard. So, of those three, who would you fuck, marry, or kill?
Marry, fuck, kill.
God, who's first?
You.
You're the guest.
Marry, fuck, kill. Mark Hamill. Okay, Mark Hamill. I would have to. I'd have to marry that man and just thank him every day for his Joker. Who are the other two?
Oscar Wilde and Judi Dench.
Well, this is Dame Judy. I don't need to tell you which one that is. So I'm sorry, Mr. Wilde, you are dead.
Well, he's already dead. So
I know,
you know.
So it all kind of works out. Oh, but Judi Dench, any day.
I think I would have to go. I would marry Judi Dench because that's got to be an interesting life. Mm-hmm. She'd be a great wife too. There'd be no end of adventure and conversation. And she's loaded. I mean, come on. It's Dame Judi Dench. Of course she's loaded. So it's terrible. I'm a gold digger. I'll marry Judi Dench for her money. I would fuck Oscar Wilde on principle because he's one of my favorite personalities of all time. And there'd be some witty banter in the middle of our lovemaking, I'm sure. That's a horrifying thought because he's been dead for like 100 years. But I mean, and I don't want to kill Mark Hamill though. But I guess that's the breaks.
A shame, man.
I'd kill Mark
That is a
Hamill.
shame.
I'd kill Mark Hamill. I'll.
We have to have thought about better celebrities, but
That's great.
no. Oh, okay. For me, I'd fuck Mark Hamill.
Why not?
Just so he could go, no, that's impossible! I'd marry Oscar Wilde. And I'd kill Judi Dench just because, well, it'd be hard to kill Judi Dench because no modern weapon can.
Well played.
But
Well played.
I would try. She would be my white whale.
Won't go down without a fight, that one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, guilty pleasures. She asked us also about guilty pleasures.
Like what is
anything that you normally like would never own up to that you actually love to do.
Guilty pleasures.
Yeah, own up to it on a podcast.
Yeah, why not? We're all actors. Lie.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Well,
Winning the Heisman 3 years in a row was awesome.
That's a guilty pleasure.
Not a guilty pleasure.
I like Jerry Jewell's take on guilty pleasures because I've been on a panel with him when we got asked a guilty pleasure question, and he's like, I don't believe in guilty pleasures. If you take pleasure in it, you shouldn't feel guilty. Just deal with it.
It's true.
And I kind of feel the same
Yeah.
way. I've come to feel the same way. I didn't always. For a long time, ice cream was my guilty pleasure. I was like an addict.
But everybody knows.
Everyone knows, but I was ashamed of how much ice cream I would eat in a week, so I would hide it. I would lie to myself and get sherbet, thinking it's slightly better for you. It's not.
See,
Not
I've
really.
completely
It's
convinced
delicious,
myself that
but it's not.
I'm totally in love with frozen yogurt, but if mint chocolate chip is around, I'm going for it. I'm going for the gold in ice cream eating. But guilty pleasures.
And a long time I was gonna say this too. Just for a long time, Yowie was a guilty pleasure. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna call that a guilty pleasure anymore. I'm proud of I'm proud of it. By
One
God,
would hope Sebastian is.
I wish I looked like half of the characters whose exploits I have read of.
We signed a Yowie paddle at YuleCon, and the way I put it, Tia put spank me, and Chris was like, Tia, that's not where it should have, because where you put it, it's going to be a very light tap. Come on, think, Tia, think. But I put, you don't have to like Yowie, and then I went, oh wait, no, yeah, you do. And Terri Doty, that's all I put. But guilty pleasures, I love, and I actually work out to mostly like if it's cardio, it's pop music, because confession time, I used to dance to choreographed stuff all the time, and we performed. I was
that is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that about you.
Pop music. Yeah, no, Stephanie was like, what? And then I did a little move, and I went, you bet your ass. And she's like, oh my God. Because we went to a club together, and her and Brina, her and Brina had talked about it earlier, but she's like, I can't, you don't look like you like to dance. I'm like, I love to dance. So that's my guilty pleasure. I think you saw that a bit in the rave.
Yeah,
you guys are getting down.
Well, I was just going all over the place.
Yeah.
But Terri was tearing it up.
I love dancing. That's not a guilty pleasure, though. It's just a good form of cardio.
It's hard to find it. I'm sitting here, you guys saying, and I have no
guilty
guilt
pleasure
in my
movie. Okay, guilty
food.
pleasure movie, show, music, which I've already covered.
Oh,
Guilty pleasure movie, a movie that you hate to admit that you love.
Oh no,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh no, I love horrible comic book movies, or at least I do once. I leave the theater going, that was just fun, because I like seeing my people up there. As you guys are saying this, I'm thinking it through, and I don't have any food guilty pleasures because my tubby little self will eat anything, and I love it. I've got this beer gut that is just expanding as I
you not tubby.
No,
You're
not tubby. I've just got a beer gut. So I don't really have any of those. And the coolest thing about this job is anything that would have been a guilty pleasure not 2 years ago is just so awesomely that's appropriate. I guess it's like
work appropriate.
I watch tons of cartoons and I love Adventure Time, Chowder. I love these kids cartoons.
Yes.
And they're so good, and that's kind of it. But I watch too much anime, way too many
Guilty
video
pleasure,
games, probably.
1,000 Ways to Die on Spike TV.
Oh, Have you ever seen 1,000 Ways to Die? It
Tatum
is
got me into it.
wretchedly horrible. Like
That
it
is a guilty pleasure.
That is a guilty pleasure. That is fucking hilarious though, because it is the cheesiest, most
They have
underproduced
hooker wipes.
Hooker wipes. Yeah,
Instead of like
not like that sounds like some sort of something you get at a pharmacy. You know,
well,
I mean, no, it's like
hooker wipe.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when they go next time on or whatever, you know, that it comes across it trailing like a contrail out of a hooker who just goes across the street. Like, it's fucking stupid.
They do that to change scenes. It's like, here's a hot chick. Woo!
That's the wipe?
Yeah, that's the wipe. It's really funny. And they do, every show is like, every episode is like several scenarios of supposedly real people, though the names have been changed to protect the innocent, you know, all that crap.
And they also
ways
make a really, like, there's a woman that, like, hurt herself, like, masturbating with a carrot, and she ended up dying from it, and they called it 1,000 Way to Die, like, number 183, Kildo.
Yeah,
nice.
Kildo. Yeah, they give it really, really horrible puns.
I'm down. Game on.
Or this chick that was making out with like another chick, and she gets electrocuted by being barefoot in some water that hits an electric current. She's lesbo-cuted.
Lesbo-cuted, yes.
That sounds like a metal song.
And it's funny because they make it a point in every single one of these. There's a moral to every one of these stories. Is like, you know, there's the inference is don't do what these people are doing. Not just like electrocuting yourself, but like this woman was making out with another woman, being all slutty, and that's really why she died. I mean, they go to great pains to try to make you not feel sympathy for the person that's about to get it, because you know they're going to die, so they make the person either a drunk asshole or a bank robber or you know, a lesbian. And it's really and it's funny to me because it's so negative and stereotypical that I'm like, oh my god, clearly being a lesbian is a bad thing. It's gonna get you'll get lesbo-cuted. That's where the name lesbian comes from. Apparently, not the Isle of Lesbos, not from ancient fucking Greece. No, it's that. It comes from a particular way of dying. But it's a horribly bad show, and it's hysterically funny. It is so goddamn bad, and they mean to be. They have to. No one could have set out to make that show thinking that was good.
Okay, I got a couple then.
Yeah, okay.
First of all, To Catch a Predator. I love To Catch a Predator. Righteous justice on these.
Chris Hansen is fucking awesome. That's why.
Why don't you sit down? Why don't you take a seat?
Why don't you take a seat?
What you doing here?
Oh man, are you her dad? Why don't you have a seat? Why don't you have a seat right there?
Why don't you have a seat? How come you got the condoms and the bunny? So that one's a
Although that is a horrible show to fall asleep to, which I learned.
Yeah. I've seen people on that, and like I watched one, and then I went to an audition for some commercial days later, and I saw a guy that I swore was like the rabbi on the rabbi episode. It's one of the first ones, and he just can't stop shielding his face because it's not like the cameras have been watching him for the last 10 minutes or whatever. And I saw a guy who looks just like him in the entire audition. I'm just staring at him. I'm just staring like, does anybody know?
You're that guy that got busted at the house and at McDonald's.
Right. Oh my god, that one was awesome. Because you're like, why didn't you show? I think it was like 2 days later.
No, it was like the next day.
It was the next day. Oh my god.
It was the next day. No, I love the guys that show up naked. And he's like, why don't you have a seat? And he's like, well, here's a towel. Why don't you have a seat?
Here's a towel.
You dirty
That's
bitch.
a great one.
Well, see, but then that's the effect Chris Hansen, like when he comes home because he's married and he has kids, like, hey, honey, how's your day? Ugh.
Oh, God.
He's making the world safer.
Yes.
So that and Ninja Warrior, but that ain't guilty.
Ninja Warrior is impressive, though.
Awesome.
The athleticism that's required to get past the first fucking stage.
Apparently, you need to be a fisherman or work at a gas station.
Apparently, yes.
One
and
of
be
those
really,
two.
really hot. That also helps. Apparently,
Guilty pleasure food. I love all my food. Food.
I'm starting to get guilty for pleasure with truffle because I let my family know that I like truffles in general, and so they got me truffle oil and truffle salt, and everything started to taste like truffles. Like I'd make food for them, it's kind of tastes like feet.
Kind of truffly. Ghost hunting shows of any kind are a guilty pleasure for me. I thought
you stopped.
Oh no, are you kidding me? No, I watch them, and there's tons of them now. I mean, this has been a ghost story program, or ghost paranormal oriented programming renaissance in the past few years. Every major fucking channel has at least one show.
Oh yeah, you need one.
It's funny because most of them are god awful. Like there are a couple that are pretty good. Like Ghost Hunters has grown on me. They started pretty cheap and cheesy, but now I'm like, okay, well, not now, but at their zenith, I'm like, okay, these guys, I like the guys, that they're not douchebags, they're just honest working guys, and maybe I may think they're kind of not going about this the right way, but you love them and whatever.
What's the one with the guy that's a huge douche that likes to reenact
Ghost
shit?
Adventures. Is it that one?
Yeah. Because Joel McHale's always making fun of them, and anything Joel McHale
Is that the dude with the really tight shirt, the build dude
ripped?
who's like,
yeah,
what do you want? Bring it!
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's just
overly gelled.
He's such a fucking dumbass.
Which is the one where they actually caught a ghost?
I don't think they've ever actually caught a ghost, ever. I don't think anyone has ever done it. I think that would make news. I think we would see it elsewhere. I mean, occasionally, and that's the thing. That's why I watch these shows.
Why is this on the news?
That's why I watch these shows. Because every now and again you'll watch these shows, and for the most part they're terrible and they're boring, and you're like, okay, you're just a bunch of guys that are scaring yourselves because you're prepared to see a ghost, and that's not a ghost, that's a dust bunny, or that's not a ghost, that's the fucking tape recorder, hitching or something. It's not an EVP. Most of the time I'm listening to this going, okay, you really have to be in a frame of mind. You have to be looking for this shit to see what you're seeing. It's not actually there, but sometimes, once in a blue moon, they will capture something that barring televised chicanery and trickery and all that, which of course you can never completely bar because it's television, and this could be totally fucking fake. This could be a War of the Worlds type thing, for all you know. It's television. They have no moral or legal obligation to say that this is real or make it real when they say it's not. It's just, it's whatever. But barring that, occasionally they do find stuff that I'm like, now what the fuck is that? Okay, that's weird. That's a creepy piece of evidence, and it's very funny to me. So I watched that show for the very occasional diamond in the rough, and all shows are like that. And they're like, there's celebrity ghost stories, and my ghost stories now on Bio, which are just terrible.
They're horrible.
I mean,
and most of the time you're like, who the fuck are you? This is supposed to be celebrity ghost stories. Who are you?
And you're funny because a lot of times these people are telling stories, and I'm like, wow, this isn't even a very good ghost story. Like, this is just you not knowing that that's the sound a whippoorwill makes, and now you're convinced you've got a wookalar in your backyard, and it's
oh my god!
Never mind.
Okay, I'm going down a path.
Or no, I realized I'm like, well, your
beasties.
Ghost stories. LA Inc. I guess is my guilty pleasure because I hate Kat Von D. But I cannot stop watching these people because it's never about the tattoos, because I can be like, oh my god, that's amazing. But really, no, it's about Kat Von D and her eyes that are too close together and her overdone face and who she's dating and all this stuff, and it makes no sense, and it's clearly staged, and it's...
And that's what attracts you to it?
No, the tattoos are what attracts me to it. But I put up with the bullshit for the tattoos because Corey Miller, who's a huge... huge vet in the tattoo world. Like, he started, he was on that show. That's why I started watching that show. I actually started watching Miami Inc. and then Miami Inc. got canceled because they didn't have a hot chick on there anymore because they fired Kat Von D because she sucked. She couldn't show up for work, and she was always, whenever she was there for work, she was drunk. So what they did was they gave her own show.
We love you anyway.
They gave her own show, and now it's horrible cuts too as a film geek, and I'm like, clearly this was not on the same day. And the reason I know that is because anytime they're actually talking, they're off, but when they're on, they have their hair differently. Sometimes Kat's wearing a wig, and it's horribly done, so I like to watch it to make fun of that.
Nice.
I mean, but yeah. Funny side note, one of my tattoos was done by her ex-husband.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
For $13 because it was Friday the 13th. But yeah. But no, so tattoo shows, I mean, there were a couple for a while, but then they're like, hey, guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But yeah.
I'll watch food shows all day long.
Food Network.
Alton Brown is my hero.
Unwrapped is good.
Unwrapped is the
Dude,
what
it's got
I'll
Mark
watch
Summers.
after Alton.
He hosted Double Dare.
I know, and it gives him so much cred, but I don't care how Whoppers are made. I would rather see how to make actual food, and that's
you and your cookiness
Alton
and
Brown,
all that
man.
stuff.
Alton Brown, he's my hero.
Steven still wants you to teach him how to make pasta.
Oh, dude, anytime, man. Seriously, it's awesome. I showed Greeley the other day.
Ian can make pasta.
I can
Ian
make
is,
handmade pasta.
from what I hear, a really excellent cook.
I try.
You'll have to cook for me sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all right. I guess we've... Okay.
Yeah, what else you got for me?
Brandon Royal.
Hi, Brandon.
I know you've been asked about WTF moments at cons. Aren't you glad I said WTF? Now you don't know that it meant what the fuck. But I want to know, what kind of dreams have you had that were WTF moments or just messed up dreams, period?
That's a
dream.
Good. Fucked up dreams.
I've had Harry Potter dreams nonstop this week because I went back through and watched all of them. Everything is magic. Everything is Wingardium Leviosa. It's just, that has been my last.
So in your dreams, you learned something, and later on the dream, it worked out that you had learned it earlier in the dream.
And every time a new teacher shows up in your dream, you know they're the bad guy. Pretty much.
It's like the red ball bouncing across your dream.
They should just stop hiring new teachers.
Oh, man.
Do you have dreams? Fucked up dreams?
Do you have dreams?
Do you have dreams?
I have mentioned the octopus dream and why I have a cephalopod on my right arm now. So there's that one, which was I have a lot of reoccurring dreams, which I end up writing about, so I won't mention those just because they're for me. But I think the one where I actually woke, because sometimes I have dreams where sometimes I'm still single and I'll forget when I wake up and I'm like, who the fuck? Oh, it's my husband. Okay. Oh God. Or hopefully it's my husband. I don't know. I'm a binge streaker. No. No, but I think the weirdest one is I dreamt that I woke up in the middle of filming a sitcom where Tom Hanks was producing it, and my dad was played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it freaked me out. And I just wanted to hurry up and get the fuck out of the studio, but I couldn't find a way out, and they kept yelling at me to get back on the set. And I was, I don't want to do this! And, yeah.
It's good casting in the dream, though.
Oh.
No, seriously, Jean-Claude Van Damme, good choice.
Jean-Claude Van Damme as my dad.
I wouldn't want Jean-Claude Van Damme as my dad, because then that would be just weird if I tried to fuck him.
It would be.
And I would totally try it, because I had the biggest crush on him.
Really? Jean-Claude Van Damme. Have you seen
I have not. I haven't. I say that when I was younger, when I was discovering myself at a younger age, when Jean-Claude Van Damme movies were all the rage, I watched them and started having feelings and thought, oh, wow. I mean, the man's ripped. Come on. He was cute. And he's French. Can't go wrong with that. And
so, Jean Depardieu?
No.
Oh, no.
Gross.
I was just throwing.
Fine actor. Wonderful actor. But
Jean Reno, maybe?
Maybe.
Leon was kind of badass.
That's true. That's very true.
Maybe.
But if Jean-Claude were in the room with them, no.
Well, no.
I'm going to go with the man who can do the splits.
Did you see that movie came out last year where he played himself?
Yeah,
that's what he's talking about.
I haven't seen it.
It's supposed to be actually pretty good. I don't dream terribly often. At least not that I remember. I've had
You have to sleep to dreams.
Yeah, which I don't sleep much. I really don't.
Just shut down.
But I do. Yeah, just I turn off.
Put them into maintenance mode. Every night.
Sleep mode.
Yeah, for most of my life, actually, I've only ever had one dream, just the same dream over and over again, which I don't talk about because it's kind of a spooky thing. So I don't. There's a lot of history behind it, which I'm like, it's not. But I mean, I guess anytime I have a dream that isn't that particular one is always kind of weird. And I had a series of dreams once, a couple of years ago, that turned out to make a really good short story that I wrote, because it was like a little sci-fi short story where it was kind of a Narnia thing where someone found this they peeled away some wallpaper in their basement and found a door that led to this other world, but it wasn't like a magical, foresty sort of world. It was a very futuristic kind of skyscraper laden cityscape with flying vehicles and stuff. And it was weird. It was like in this dream, Halloween had become an outlaw holiday. Like it had become, now people celebrated it in protest against the powers that be, and there was a curfew. So if people were out going from house to house in costume saying, they weren't saying trick or treat, it was the phrase had developed into something else. I forget now what it was. But they would go from house to house seeking sanctuary from the police or from the marauders that were out basically trying to get a buck by taking people in who were defying curfew. And so Halloween became kind of like Guy Fawkes Day, or
I like that.
or like it became a carnival, like properly speaking, it was this thing. And during the course of the dream, it was really weird and all this thing. And there were 6 suns in the sky at any given time, because the way they tended to orbit, it was almost always day, and the only time when they were ever down altogether for any length of time was the day that had become Halloween. It was no longer October 31st because the Gregorian calendar no longer applied in this world with 6 suns. And it was very interesting. And it turns out like we did some, like we went on this weird adventure and found out that there was this whole thing going on where like the political system that had been erected and was basically controlling everything was the descendant of this great man who supposedly was, supernatural and an alien or something. And it was very, very, very strange, very Gene Wolfe-ish sci-fi author. I'm very, very fond of. I was reading a lot of his books at the time, and I think that's why I probably had the dream. But turns out that there weren't actually 6 suns. And another detail: there were ghosts everywhere, like just fleeting glimpses of shadows and people forms that would just come in and out of existence. And it was such a commonplace that no one thought anything of it. They were just everywhere, and you just dealt with them, but they weren't like, it was really weird. Well, but some people. The system started cracking when people started seeing themselves in these fleeting glimpses of the other world, whatever you wanted to call it, and started thinking, well, then what the hell are these things? They're not ghosts. They're something else, and those people were silenced and all this shit. And so, the powers that be were basically scrambling and had developed this whole very complex mythology to sort of keep the people at bay. It turns out the reality of the situation was that there weren't 6 suns. It was that time as we know it was collapsing, and so these were actually our sun, and it was just in 6 different arrays existing simultaneously in the same timeline, and because time was beginning to condense to a point, and so these ghosts were actually other people just coming in and out of different dimensions of these folds of time that were being created by this phenomena. And the powers that be were struggling not to keep people panicking by knowing that, well, fuck, eventually all the timelines are going to converge and it's going to be this one big chaotic mess, and the fabric of space-time as we know it will completely unravel. And it was just this fascinating series of dreams. There was about 6 or 7 dreams, and they all followed each other pretty seamlessly. And so I made a story. Actually, I made a couple stories out of them. And it was really, really neat.
Dreams were like, I have marshmallow shoes.
I have those too.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
it's very bizarre.
That's awesome.
I read a lot of weird stuff. I have.
Good.
I read a lot of weird stuff, so they inform my dreams quite a bit.
That's cool when you read stuff and it gets like that. The one that I have reoccurring, like it's heavily involved around mathematics and the importance of numbers and stuff like that. I'm like, what? Because when I told Steven about it, I was like, wow, that's weird because this means this, and then when you divide it the way that you do in your dream, it means this, and da-da-da. What? I don't know that.
Reading anything really tends to be more enriching in terms of the dreams or the kind of imaginative vocabulary it gives you, because you sit and watch movies, and there are a lot of really good movies out there, but they're all very
all the visualizations are there.
Yeah, the visual. Yeah. There's a process of your brain that's involved. The images stick with you more because you give birth to them, so to speak, and so the images are already coming from inside of you, and so the reading a book is almost teasing out these archetypes in your own brain that then become sort of just a little closer to the surface of consciousness, and then when you sleep, then they're just there, and your brain plays with them and says, "Well, now do this." And so I think reading tends to give you a lot more dreams than watching a movie does, though that can certainly do it, because reading is it's a much more active medium. Film is rather passive; you just sit there and you watch it. But reading, you have your vision, you're doing the visualization, you're doing the thinking, and you're giving all the characters voices in your heads. In your head, it's really neat. So it engages the brain more, and so when you do have a dream about something you've read, it tends to be much more vivid and much more unusual and much more developed. I think that's been my experience anyway. That's why I think I have the dreams I do, because I read Gene Wolfe, and that's a very active process. Like, Gene Wolfe is a very difficult reading. I mean, he's very tricky, and you're like, fuck, and your brain is awake. And your brain is dealing with so many complex ideas in one go that you're like, fuck, and then your brain just almost has to like let off some steam at night by letting you dream about them just so you can process everything you've read. It's really interesting how that works. But we went off on a tangent about dreams. Sorry.
Seriously, we maybe answered like 4 questions.
I know. We love that, though. We love that we're talkers. Oh, this is a good one. This one comes from Alan McLeod. Alan McLeod.
Alan.
Oh, that's another favorite of ours.
Alan. Cool.
Very good.
I don't do it again.
Alan.
Okay, this is from Alan. This is a good one. My question is for Ian. You are an assistant ADR director as well as an actor on Bacano, one of my personal favorites and certainly one of the best dubs of the past few years. However, the show is known for its enormous cast of characters.
Yeah.
I was just hoping that you might elaborate a bit as to the difficulties of recording such a show. Did it take any longer than a regular show, say 16 episodes? Was it difficult to book so many actors for such a short amount of time? What means did you and the other directing staff use to keep track of such a complicated timeline? I have to imagine that the show must have been quite a task to complete, and I was just hoping you could give us a bit of insight into that process.
Yeah.
P.S. I can't wait to hear Black Butler. From everything I hear, you did a fantastic job directing. Smiley face.
Yeah.
Smiley face, indeed.
Alan always has the most thoughtful questions.
Alan is, he's definitely...
Bacano.
Bacano's great.
Bacano is so good. I was I'm gonna answer this question in Dallas Genoward voice. That show. I started.
It took me forever to realize that was you, by the way.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
This guy, who I've extrapolated into other characters that have been used since. This guy. I got asked to do Bacano when I was already Dallas Genoward, and Tyler Walker was like, hey, I know you said that you got a lot of free time on your hands. Would you like to come up here and learn to direct? And I said, yeah. By the way, I love Tyler Walker. That dude is awesome. We're going to go kayaking next week. It's going to be awesome. I know. I want to kayak so bad.
Tyler is awesome.
Yeah. He's just a good
I consider Tyler a friend.
guy,
He's really cool. He never makes it just about directing. Like, it's all about, like, everyone being comfortable and having fun.
Yeah, he's just a lot of fun to work with, and I've gotten to work with him on several projects, both as a writer and as an actor. And
other than interning, I've never
directed
worked
for
with
him sometimes. It's really fun, and he's quite a writer too. I got to write. I can't talk about the show, but we got to work together on a show that'll be out later this year or later next year, and it's actually he's quite good. He's quite a good writer, very talented guy. I've always been impressed with him.
So he asked me if I'd like to sub because he had to go take off for a couple days. So yeah, I'd love to. And I sat down with him and he did some training for me. And I said I want to learn from every director, so I skipped from booth to booth to booth, learning everybody's different technique. Or at least
I was interning at that time.
Yeah, we ran into we were both kind of sitting there. You're over there, hi. And so I trained for a while. And then I came back to it, and that show jumps around. Luckily, I didn't have to deal with any of the scheduling. I'm assuming it was a fairly similar process to the one we deal with usually. You figure out what people you need and what episodes, and
well, you can bring this back to Black Butler because I know Tyler and I talked about Bacano all the time. About how hard it was because there's so many characters that have accents, and it was hard. And so Tyler wound up bringing in a lot of new people that did really well. And so while you may not have had that experience in the directing end of Bacano, you certainly had those trials.
Oh yeah,
waiting for you when you jumped in the booth for Butler.
Butler, we have that is so. The dialects in that show are so good, and we've got so many amazing actors who are able to just come and throw out amazing British dialects. It was such a comfort first day watching you. I was like, oh, good. He knows it maybe better than me. Probably better than me. Yeah, he knows it better than me.
I wouldn't say that.
Anyway, so I go in, and with Butler at least, we had to find Indians, we had to find Irishmen for one episode,
or French people.
People.
Like I was just like, bonjour, Ian. He's like, do that again. I'm like,
we're at a World's Fair. Come on. And everybody in the show had to bring it dialect wise. There were times where we would have pickups and like we had to get out of this line today. It had to be, we had to And we ran over to the IT department because we knew there was a British guy in there, and we were like, "Hey, come here, talk British for us." And he's like, "Oh, you're not going to use this," and it was perfect. And dialects
What's
are
his name? Andrew?
Dave.
I have no idea.
Yes.
But anytime he talks to me, I'm just like,
I'll go and talk some more.
Because I am a bit of an Anglophile.
Yeah, you gotta love the dialect. And but with Bacano, all of that again was I've had most of my casting throughout my career has pretty much been done for me, because with Bacano, I was just coming in and it was like, hey, figure out where we are, who you're recording, and what they're all about, and watch the episodes a ton, and come on and do it. And so, okay. With Butler, though, I mean, we set out, Colleen had wonderfully cast out the first 6 episodes, and which was such a relief with all the lead characters and set their dialects. But then after that, everybody else who had to come in, it was I must have annoyed all the voice actors, because they'd be like, hey, how's it going, dude? How's your British? What? Just continue the rest of this conversation in British for me. In British, sort of thing. Like, cool, got it. And we had to have whole wall of sessions with people in the background doing British, so we had to be able to get in tons of people who could do both, and just fantastic, and everybody really wanted to learn, and it was cool to teach some people, and it's cool, and I'd go and be like, hey, go watch all this BBC stuff, just go watch BBC. That's the best way you can do it. I had one person tell me, they were like, hey man, I just did about 5 hours of Harry Potter, so I've got it right here. And I was like, oh, that's very good. Next cue.
Yes.
But yes, Bacano, crazy, awesome, fun. Tyler Walker took care of me, and yeah.
I got we got to get going soon, but okay. I got to get this because Jackie says that she loves you as Romano.
Romano.
It's absolute genius. I'd say it like that. So, with that being said, could you, in your Romano voice, insult her? Because we all know he can't give a decent compliment.
See, that's a stupid question. I mean, I gotta say, this sort of thing, or when you say that kind of thing, I gotta say, no. First off, no, I will not insult you because you're a lady. And I gotta say that I love the ladies. Romano does. He does. So, no, I will not insult you in your stupid question.
Okay.
I'm
Thank you for that. I'm sorry.
Right, and there's a second part, which Jackie, I think, mentioned for the Yule-Con show, and we just didn't get to it. Then she's asked me this a second time. So rather than me just answer this, for the purpose of the Stephen Hoff fan club. I think all of us should say something embarrassing or interesting about Stephen, because the fans want to know. That was a Muppet laugh.
I have no idea where it came from.
We should evil laugh. Can we evil laugh together? Let's evil laugh together. Okay, ready?
Aww.
Can we get an evil laugh? Come on. You know you're awesome at evil laughs.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
you
ready?
did. Remember
ready?
at the end? Mm-hmm.
This is great.
No, that was
Stephen deserves an evil laugh from all of us. Ready?
Say something embarrassing or interesting about Stephen. That was good.
Now we start really laughing at it. It doesn't sound very different from what we just did.
Well, no, actually, I think, yeah. Okay, so something interesting or embarrassing about Steve.
Oh, God.
You should go last because you have the best shit.
Yeah, you've got the good stories.
Well, he's been your engineer, and he's been your engineer, and
he's been my engineer, and we've been good friends for years now. Mm-hmm. You start, Ian. There must be something. You can always make it up.
Oh.
Steven's not here to defend himself.
But
he's going to come busting through this door.
He can't hit the space bar and stop this.
He can't hit the space bar. I don't know. Most of my stories that deal with embarrassment and Steven are me, frankly. Him looking over at me and shaking his head.
Dude, what the...
There were oh, God, the things that he's done. No,
well, mind you, it can be interesting.
It can be
not
interesting,
just embarrassing, so it can be interesting.
Tell me something about Steven that you find interesting.
the most efficient human being on the planet. Even their house, I gotta tell you, this man is I walk around their house and he's shoving leaves to the left and everything like that in their backyard, which is perfectly manicured and it's all beautiful and everything is in its place here and very, very organized and everything. And I can tell in his mind it was, God, I wish we could have cleaned more. And it blows my mind because this is if I would be showing off look how clean my house is, everyone. Look at that. The carpet is totally been vacuumed. See, I couldn't even come up with a word
Last
for it.
week.
What's the word for cleaning a carpet?
How do you do that? You sweep the carpet?
Vacuum?
Hoover.
This is what you use a mop for, right? No, one of the hodditors. The hodditors. I got nothing, and for fear of he's who I'm gonna go to during the zombie apocalypse. So I'm just gonna be quiet.
No question about that. I think I don't really have any embarrassing Steven things. Right? Except, he and I always try to freak each other out by being really sexy with each other, saying really inappropriate things.
But then you guys get really close.
We get really close.
And you guys have cuddled.
We've cuddled. We've even cuddled before, which sounds really horrible, but I mean, it's actually kind of nice.
But no, you guys are testing. You guys are chickening each other.
We're playing chicken with innuendos, and we'll try. And we've even done it online before, where he'll instant message me or something on Facebook, and we'll just start saying really horribly licentious things back and forth. And I think most of the time, I've wound up winning.
You have.
Which I find very funny, but that's not embarrassing. That's just sportsmanship. I think the most interesting thing about him, and I could choose many, many things because Steven is a fascinating individual. There are depths to him that we will never sound. But my house which is an old house. It was built in the 50s, and it's a very cute little house. You all seen it. It's a nice little house. I love it. But it has this weird propensity for having what I've come to terms with calling just drive-by hauntings. We'll get a little activity for a couple of weeks or a month or two, and then it'll stop for a year, and then something will come back. It's very, and I say haunting. I don't know what the hell a ghost is, but weird shit happens, and it's easy to ascribe it to something with a personality, whatever. Just whether I'm on the right frequency here, I have no idea. But weird stuff happens. Terry has been around when weird stuff happens in my house, and Joshua's seen it. And Joshua totally doesn't really believe in any of this stuff. But even Joshua has been like, well, that's a weird thing. But weird stuff happens. Steven is strangely attuned to when stuff is going to happen in my house.
I don't doubt that a bit.
He really is. He'll be like, yeah, something's weird. Something weird is probably going to happen in a couple of weeks. I think this, and he's right. And I should quickly add, it's not stuff that he could have done himself. It's not stuff he could lay traps for.
Yeah. And
left to be it's not something really weird's going to happen to your house, and suddenly I find that he's left a tape recorder taped under my couch or something that is programmed to let out weird noises every few hours. No, it's nothing like that. It's Steven will walk into my house and be like, something really weird is going to happen in the library later tonight. I'm just getting this weird feeling, and then indeed something does, and
with us there. Or something.
With us there, and all of us in the same room, knowing damn well none of us had anything to do with what happened. It's stuff like that, and I won't get into specifics because they're actually rather involved stories. But we'll save it maybe for another time. But Steven is bizarrely attuned to when strange things like that are going to happen.
Not just strange things. He gets a feeling. I will say a little story for the club is I wouldn't call it a catchphrase, but after working with him for a month, I picked up, I'd be at home and all of a sudden someone would be like, oh man, this guy over here, the dude totally didn't show up. And I just go, see? Yeah, I had no idea where it come from. I just kind of,
Didn't you even channel Steven for an audition?
I did. I auditioned for a TV show, and I got called back, and it was between me and another guy, and I was playing a tech guy, and they just I just kind of sat there with that look that I see on Steven's face the days that things aren't just necessarily going well because of someone somewhere, and just kind of gave that some days. And that got me the callback. And yeah, so now it's bled into all of my friends that know him well. I'll go, Josh Greeley, my roommate, I'll kind of go home and I'll tell a story about someone doing something at work, and he'll just go,
Stephen also does a funny thing, just that he does that arose from our constant trying to freak each other out.
It's just the two of you. We are not involved, although Joshua does it now. It's,
oh yeah, we all try to do it, but Stephen does it best. He's like,
you want to come in and do it?
It's just this funny stuff.
You hear the door open.
Oh God.
Okay,
Now,
embarrassing or interesting things. You said something. I'll give you several.
You're in a unique position to tell us.
Yes, sometimes.
You got the
finger on spacebar.
Let me see. Steven is obsessed with Chevy Chase movies.
Nice.
Obsessed. Any Joss Whedon character that has long brown hair, he is in fucking love with.
Right on, dude.
Particularly River from Serenity and Fred from Angel. Also because they're really nerdy and stuff like that. But let me see. He is colorblind. Steven is colorblind. You can know that about him. Anything embarrassing. He made a kid with a mustache, or not mustache, a Kool-Aid mouth cry once. Because the kid said ew, pointing at me, and Steven's very protective of me. I'm not very much a damsel in distress, but it is nice where, like...
I will destroy that child.
Well, he's just very protective that way. Like, I was in Deep Ellum with a friend of mine, Sarah. We were going to a Dollywood, mixer. Dollywood thing. That's what it was called. But, and I wanted to go because I knew that Massey was going to be there, so I wanted to bug Massey, and Massey didn't end up showing up. But it was fun. It was fun. But when we parked, you being in Deep Ellum, of course, I'm like, oh God, here's a zombie. Which in Deep Ellum or Dallas, zombies are my code for homeless people. Because they move the same. If you're ever unsure about your zombie skills, just study it. Which I'm like, oh my God, they totally ripped off my fucking idea. Seriously. But this zombie started walking up to me and Sarah, and Steven went, hey man, and then you hear a little, what's up? And he's like, nothing man, you have a good night. And what was Steven pulling out a knife.
Oh shit.
And yeah. And he's like, hey man, what's going on? He's like, what's up? And, nothing, have a good night. He's like, okay. Then flips the knife back in and puts it in his pocket.
Nice.
Yeah, Steven is obsessed with weaponry. He once made a kid that broke into his house cry until the cops got there, and he was sucking his thumb. What else?
The kid was 32.
The kid was...
The kid was sucking his thumb, not Steven.
Yeah.
Steven was not sucking the kid's thumb.
Suck my thumb. That's all I get is suck my thumb.
The kid was a 15-year-old named Lemon.
Lemon.
Let me see. I think that's all I'll divulge for now. But so there's Stephen Hoff fan club.
I love Stephen Hoff. With every fiber of my being. I love that man.
He's pretty great. There are points where I'm like, fuck, you would really have to love me. And he's like, I do.
Hey,
but
Steven.
doing like that.
That dude really did teach me a lot about, directing and work, man. That dude.
Hey, Steven. Steven. Are you listening? Good. You have a very pretty mouth. If I was a bee, I would totally sting your bottom lip. It's hard to maintain. I can't do it because he's not even in the room, and I can feel him going, oh.
See, I don't do that. Although I love freaking him out because he was my best friend before that. So it's not like this, hey, sugar bee or whatever. I don't do that shit. Sorry, that was, I don't know what voice that was. Hey, but I just lost Tatum. I know. I don't do any of that shit. But Ian, I will tell you this. Oh God, I don't know if we can do this with Tatum. I do this a lot. Hey, sugar bee.
Stop it. Damn it.
Oh, why?
He's taking a swig of my beverage.
But
can't do that to a guy.
Something that Ian did, the last show that I really auditioned for, Ian made me do a voice that I wasn't incredibly comfortable with doing yet. But he pulled it out of me, and that is doing little boy voices, which now I have done... I'd say 4 or 5.
That's awesome. You have a great little boy voice.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah, I know, right?
God, she played me one recently in a show, of course, she can't talk about yet, but fuck! I was like, God damn, that's good.
My show you guys talking about? Have you heard that yet? Because if not, I've got that.
No, that I haven't heard
need
yet.
to hear it.
No, yes, I have. But it was another show. It was another. I was like, holy fuck! And they all sound different. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I love to do that, but now it's gotten to the point where Stephen was giving me a hard time. Like, it was after dinner the other night, so I was like, hey, sweetie, close your eyes. And he closed them, and I got really close to his ear, and I was like, you're really warm, mister. He's like, no! No! He's like, I just want to go home. Please let me go home. And just, it's like, stop it.
I need an adult.
I need an adult. But yeah, so, oh my God, like, I usually use natural lighting in the studio. It's so dark now.
It is really dark. I can't see it here now.
It's
It's because the sun is starting to go down earlier this year.
All right. We could go on forever.
Yes, we could. Ian, thank you so much for being here. It has been
Thanks
awesome.
for finally doing the show.
Love
It's
having
so
you
much
here
fun.
and chatting with you. It's fun.
And
You gotta come
You're
back.
one of my
Yes, please,
favorites,
please.
peoples. You are. I love
It's so
you.
cool that I get you on tape saying all these awesome things. I'm just going to
hell's a
string it
tape?
together.
Tape? Like Scotch tape? I don't understand.